Chapter 489. For example, she had no idea what had happened during this wedding. It was completely different from the past. Yi Er would no longer share her hardships. Although she knew that Yi Er was afraid that she would be put in a difficult position, she still felt sad. "Oh, Mom, what does this have to do with Yi Er? That's what you earned by scrimping and saving and cooking for my employees. Don't let Yi Er take all of it. She can't afford it. I'm going home." Zheng Ling turned around and left the office after saying that. Mother Zheng saw that Zheng Ling ignored her and scolded angrily, "You wretched girl. You're getting more and more stubborn." When Yi Er arrived at the Qin family home, she thought that she had come to the wrong place. It was as if she had traveled back in time to a wealthy family in the Republic of China. The front door was tied with red silk and the hallways and main roads were all hung with red lanterns. Jiang Zhao held her hand. "Don't be nervous. I'm here." Yi Er nodded and followed the man's footsteps. She lifted her chin and smiled. She greeted everyone politely. Although she did not speak much, she had the bearing of a lady from a wealthy family. In the living room, carved wooden chairs were neatly placed. None of the respectable elders sat on the sofa. They were all sitting on the hard wooden chairs, which made the young people sitting on the soft sofa look weak. None of the elders wore suits. Some had silver beards and some had white hair. They were all wearing Chinese-style clothes with buttons. At the very least, they were wearing Chinese tunic suits. Their expressions were different, but they all exuded a dignified aura. None of the young women were dressed too extravagantly. They all looked like reserved ladies from wealthy families. After Jiang Zhao's introduction, Yi Er bowed and greeted the elders one by one. The Qin family was a wealthy family. They had their own dining area for the banquet, which was not in the living room in the front yard. Today's engagement party was rushed, but it was not sloppy at all. The chefs hired by the government were all present. The decorations were also done by several wedding companies within a few hours. This might be the soft power that a big family should have. No matter how urgent the matter was, it could be prepared very quickly. There were even more people today than yesterday. Yi Er was completely dumbfounded by the number of people who came. She couldn't even remember their names. She laughed until her mouth was sore. In the end, she only remembered a few surnames. Yi Er had originally chosen a pair of high-heeled shoes, but Jiang Zhao helped her change into a pair of small high-heeled shoes. He said that she would be very tired at night and might have to stand again tomorrow. Only then did she realize that it was indeed very tiring. She had never sat down on a stool before. She was already starving. She hadn't even finished toasting, and the walls of her intestines were probably glued together by the table after table. Watching others eat, Yi Er had the urge to swallow his saliva. After a round of toasts, he said that he wanted to pay his respects to the elders alone. Because many people didn't come to Sea City for many years, they didn't have to wait until morning to pay their respects. Heavens, what kind of rule is this? Is this the old-fashioned society? No one had taught her the rules of paying respects. The Yun family was a nouveau riche, and she was the daughter of a nouveau riche. She didn't need to pay respects. Jiang Zhao told the two old men to bring Yi Er to his room and tell her the details of paying respects. She didn't understand. The two old men nodded in agreement and asked them to go quickly. The moment they returned to Jiang Zhao's room, Yi Er collapsed on the sofa. Jiang Zhao went out again. Yi Er pursed her lips bitterly and rubbed her stomach. So pitiful, so pitiful. As the daughter-in-law of a rich family, she had no food to eat. So pitiful. As the daughter of a rich family, she had rice and face. Only then would she be happy. A few minutes later, Jiang Zhao entered the room in his suit. He took a bowl and closed the door behind him. He walked in front of her and pulled up his trousers. He slowly squatted down and helped Yi Er up. "Eat some first. I saw that you were about to faint from hunger outside. Don't starve yourself until you have gastric problems." Rice with abalone juice. Yi Er was moved to tears. "Hubby, you're so nice. You even know to put some rice inside." Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er taking big bites and was amused. "Slow down. I'm not going to snatch it from you." Yi Er hurriedly hid the bowl behind her back and snorted. "Even if you snatch it from me, I won't give it to you. It's mine." Jiang Zhao reached out and pinched Yi Er's face. It's yours. It's yours. Yi Er picked up the spoon and scooped the rice into her mouth. She wanted to say something but was afraid that she would look bad. She reached out and covered her mouth. Her eyes were curved as she mumbled, "It's delicious. It's really delicious." As she ate, she thought that as long as she was obedient, Jiang Zhao would treat her quite well. Although he didn't love her, he would still treat her like before. He wouldn't make her suffer. He didn't make her drink water to make up for her hunger. He would also think of ways to make the rice taste good. He didn't feel like he was making do with her at all. As Yi Er ate, Jiang Zhao told her that she didn't even have to kneel to greet them anymore. She just had to say some auspicious words to the elders in the family and appear more obedient. That was about it. The more Jiang Zhao whispered to Yi Er, the more Yi Er felt that she was one step closer to being unable to extricate herself. This was because no matter how she looked at Jiang Zhao, he was a good man. He actually knew how to dote on people. However, she was too much of a bastard and too eager for instant success. She didn't wait for him to fall in love with her before forcing him to marry her. Yi Er clenched her fists in her heart. "Yunyi, you can do it. This man is yours. This husband is yours." She extended the bowl in front of Jiang Zhao. "Hubby, I want to eat another bowl." Jiang Zhao turned around and pulled a piece of tissue from the tea machine to wipe Yi Er's mouth. "You can't eat anymore. You still have to have night tea with the female guests later. If you don't eat at all, they will think that you don't know how to treat guests well." Yi Er was in despair. Oh my God. There were so many rules that she had never heard of. Which ancestor set them? Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er's expression and took the bowl from her hand. He placed it on the tea machine and sat down beside her. He pulled out a piece of tissue paper and placed her hand in his. He helped her wipe her hand. "Bear with it. Just these 2 days. It'll be fine after a while." Actually, Grandpa wanted to arrange the wedding, but Grandpa vetoed the idea. Compared to the Jiang family, the Qin family had more rules. However, these rules were not usually used. It was because they were valued that there were so many rules and extravagance. Although I am only his grandson, Grandpa has always treated me as a member of the Qin family. Yi Er felt guilty. She felt that she didn't know how to behave properly. The family valued her so much and didn't say that everything should be simple. Yet she was still nitpicking. She was too insensible. She leaned on Jiang Zhao's shoulder and held his arm. She acted coquettishly. "I didn't say that I didn't want to go. Hubby, I just thought that the rice you made for me just now was very delicious. After I have night tea with the female guests, can you make me another bowl?" "Yes, I'll make you a big bowl. You're annoying. I'm not a pig. I'll raise you like a pig in the future. You're annoying. Pigs eat terrible food. You'll be called a VIP pig in the future. I'll give you abalone wings every day. You're annoying. But you called me a little fox." "All right, fox pig." Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Yi Er went to the restaurant again. The moment she entered, everyone could feel that she was glowing. She smiled at the guests and looked dignified. The butler, Uncle Wu, took the phone and walked to the main seat. He said to the Qin family's old master, Qin Rongfang, "Old master, it's old master Shi." Qin Rongfang said, "Hello." On the other end, Shi Jintian started to scold him. "Old fart, you only told me now that you're getting a granddaughter-in-law. Are you in a hurry to be reincarnated?" Qin Rongfang knew that many people would scold him, but he had no choice. He had said before that he would hold a grand wedding for all his grandchildren. When it came to Zhao Zhao, how could he not hold an engagement party before getting a marriage certificate? He would have a knot in his heart. His explanation to everyone was the same as what he had said to Shi Jintian. "I'm not in a hurry to be reincarnated, but today is a good day. They say that if I, Zhao Zhao, hold a wedding today, I'll be very lucky. I believe in this, so I might as well do it today." Shi Jintian was not an unreasonable person. He knew that there were many things that were not convenient to say now, so he just vented his anger. "My private jet is at the airport now and can't take off. You have to keep this granddaughter-in-law's tea for me." Qin Rongfang said readily, "Of course. I'll make them kneel down and apologize to you. But I must sit in the main seat." Shi Jintian was still in the hotel. After hanging up the phone, he saw Unwoo leaning against the big chair and reading a book. He complained, "Old Chin must have encountered some trouble. How can he be in such a hurry to get a granddaughter-in-law? When the fog disperses tomorrow, I must ask him properly when I get back." Unwoo said indifferently, "Grandpa, you're worrying too much. We don't have to worry about the Chin family's troubles. We're the ones who are unfamiliar with this place. We were friends in life and death when we were young. How can I not care? But Unwoo, you have to get closer to Fian and Zhao Zhao in the future. I'm old and the world belongs to you young people. We must have a place on the right path." "I know, Grandpa, don't worry," Unwoo said lightly and continued reading. Yi-er greeted her in a daze. Later, her neck and wrists were covered with gold, and she was so tired that she was about to die. Looking at the 10 or 20 golden bracelets on her wrists and the dozens of golden chains around her neck, Yi-er heaved a sigh of relief. As expected of the daughter of a nouveau riche. Look at her, she's too explosive. The Chin family looked like a large family, but the concept of men being superior to women was still very strong. It could be seen from the difference between male and female guests. No matter how old they were, men and women would not eat at the same table. Qingjun told Yi-er that it was only in this kind of situation that it would be so obvious. Usually, her family did not care about such formalities. Sometimes, no matter how advanced a man's thinking was, he still cared about face. So in this kind of place, no matter how tired, hungry, or thirsty you were, you had to endure it. Otherwise, you would lose your family's man's face. Yi-er listened to Qingjun's teachings and knew that they were kind words. If her mother-in-law really did not like her, she would not have said these things to her. She nodded obediently and said, "Mother, I understand." She did not dare to ask too much, afraid that if she asked something wrong, she would be laughed at. She wanted to ask Jiang Zhao if she could take some jewelry down first. These jewelry were too solid, and her neck was about to break. Even if she could not take it down, she could still complain to him. However, she did not see Jiang Zhao anywhere. Yi-er wanted to go outside the restaurant to take a look. As soon as she reached the entrance, she heard the servants discussing, "Young Master Zhao is about to get married. Even if he liked Miss from the family Ouyang, that is already in the past. Miss Yen should pay more attention." "Who said that? Didn't you hear how Miss Yen cried in front of Master yesterday? She even said that Miss from the Yun family forced young Master Zhao to marry her. Women these days are really fierce. The new daughter-in-law is only 19 years old, but her thoughts are too deep. Yes, young Master Zhao has never met a woman like this." Add, Song Shu 566. Chapter 490. Young Master Zhao should find someone as dignified as Miss Yen. Young Master Fian, on the other hand, should find a woman to force himself on. Sigh, if it weren't for the fact that young Master Zhao would find out later, I really want to listen to what Miss Yen is saying in young Master Zhao's arms in the backyard. You wish. As a servant, you have to be more careful. Yi-er closed her eyes and clenched her fists to breathe. Her mother-in-law said that no matter how tired, hungry, or thirsty she was, she had to endure it. But her mother-in-law didn't say what she should do if her heart ached. She could fight against a mistress or a hooligan. She couldn't just let it go like this, right? She turned around and asked the servant for directions to the backyard. The flower rack in the left corner of the backyard was very tall and wide. It was a mix of wisteria and roses. At this time, the roses were blooming beautifully and the fragrance was faint. Under the flower rack, Jiang Zhao patted Ouyang Yan's back and comforted her. "Yun Yun, don't cry. If you don't have anything to say, I'll go back first. Your sister-in-law is still young and the Qin family has more rules than the Yun family. She doesn't know anything and will cause trouble later." When Ouyang Yan heard Jiang Zhao directly change Yun Ye's name to sister-in-law, she cried even harder. She hugged the man's waist even tighter. "Second brother, you said that you would wait for me to come back. You've always been waiting for me. Second brother, you're a man of your words. How can you marry another woman? I'm already back. How can you marry another woman?" Ouyang Yan sobbed uncontrollably. She never knew that Jiang Zhao would go back on his words. She had been the moon surrounded by stars in her life. Everyone knew that Jiang Zhao liked her. Even when she broke up with him and wanted to leave High City, he said that he would wait for her. How did he become someone else's husband just like that? Jiang Zhao sighed. Just as he was about to speak, Yi Er's voice rang out. Hubby, Mom said that she wants us to send the guests off together. Let's go over together. Jiang Zhao suddenly pushed Ouyang Yan away, but he didn't know how strong he was. Ouyang Yan staggered back a few steps and held on to a pillar to steady himself. The man looked at Yi Er, who was standing at the entrance of the backyard. How long had it been since he last saw her? She was dressed in gold and was covered in gold chains. She looked tacky and cute at the same time. He strode towards her. Ouyang Yan bit her lips and watched the man leave, but she could not stop him. Yi Er watched as Jiang Zhao walked over. He was still so handsome and radiant, unlike her who was in such a sorry state. Slowly loosening her clenched fists, her eyes curved into crescents, and a bright smile hung on her face. She really couldn't pretend that she didn't see anything. She could only pretend that nothing had happened. Yi Er's smile was too genuine. In Jiang Zhao's eyes, it was jarring. This woman really didn't care about him. She had clearly seen it, but she could still smile so nonchalantly. He thought that no matter what, he should still explain the process of this matter to her. They were now husband and wife. Just as he walked to the door, Yi Er went forward and grabbed his arm. Without looking at Ouyang Yan, she pulled him and turned him around. She grumbled, "You don't know. When Mom said that she wanted to send the guests off, I was dizzy. She also said that some of the guests would be staying in the backyard tonight. I can only go to sleep after all these people are settled. But I'm so sleepy now. Also, I'm carrying so many things on me. It's killing me. It's so heavy. Can you take some of them off?" With every sentence that Yi Er said, she was thinking about the woman behind her. When she was joking, she felt as if her heart was being tugged at by someone. Jiang Zhao was completely dispirited. Once again, it proved the meaning of her words, "There are no feelings between us." Not only did she not need to explain, she would not even be jealous. Even if she saw that her husband had another person in his arms, she could still pretend that she didn't see anything. He couldn't help but wonder if she was heartless. But as arrogant as he was, she didn't even care about him. Should he still think that it was unrequited love and care about her feelings that she didn't need? With a wife like this, there was really nothing he could do. Who asked that phone call to see through his thoughts? You can't take them off. These are the blessings from the elders. It's inauspicious to take them off. Yi Er nodded. Oh. She would just be superstitious this time. Yi Er's superstition resulted in her wearing this pile of gold to sleep. Even after midnight, she refused to take them off. Jiang Zhao wanted to be intimate with her and wanted to take them off for her. Yi Er exploded. She stood on the bed and made a fighting pose. She glared at Jiang Zhao as if she was looking at a bandit. "Mama, they're all mine. Don't touch them." Jiang Zhao found Yi Er's behavior amusing. This wife was pretty good. Sometimes she even made him quite happy. She was still young and probably didn't know what love was. "Be good. Take them off. I'll give you a box of gold bars another day." No, I'm not taking them off." When Yi Er saw that Jiang Zhao was about to stand up, she knew that he was going to use force. She immediately sat down, stretched her legs, raised her head, and burst into tears. What? Jiang Zhao was dumbfounded. He quickly sat down and hugged the woman. All right, they're yours. Don't take them off, okay? Didn't I say that you'd be tired? These are all yours. Why are you so hateful so bad? Why do you only know how to bully me? You're racking your brains to hurt me, sob. Yi Er was really sad. She was so sad that she kept twitching. This man clearly knew these taboos, yet he still did it. He definitely wanted to break up with her and marry that Yun. Jiang Zhao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This woman was really possessed. She was actually so superstitious. When had he ever thought of hurting her? He wanted to accuse her. It's already past midnight. It's fine. It won't be inauspicious anymore. Really? Immediately stopped crying, but Jiang Zhao laughed. Yunyi, can you be a little more despicable? Can you act a little more realistically? If I act better, are you going to push me into the entertainment industry? Yi Er wiped the tears from her face. Then she pretended that she hadn't cried. As she spoke, she took off the bracelet and necklace. Dream on. Yi Er looked at the small mountain of gold in front of her and said happily, all right, then I won't dream on. Jiang Zhao hugged her and kissed her. All right, then let's take a shower and make love. But hubby, I'm so tired today. But wifey, I'm always the one doing the work. Early the next morning, Jiang Zhao took Yi Er to the Civil Affairs Bureau. The marriage certificate had to be obtained and no one could say anything about it. It wasn't troublesome at all. In fact, it was quite cheap. 2 red booklets cost $9 and a quick photo was $40. Yi Er was unhappy. Why is the photo so much more expensive than the marriage certificate? It's so many times more expensive. Jiang Zhao thought, did this woman have to ask such an idiotic question? It was obvious that she wanted to get some money out of it. The cost of the photo was regulated and there was no limit to the photo. Didn't she understand this? Because the photo can prove that it's your marriage certificate. If you just take out the name, people won't be able to tell if it's real or fake. But with the photo, it'll be obvious at a glance. Yi Er nodded and said with certainty, yes, this money is really well spent. It's really worth it. Jiang Zhao sighed in satisfaction. This girl, Nu and Shizhen finally returned to High City after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Shizhen Tian had been feeling unhappy. He had missed his old friend's granddaughter-in-law's engagement banquet, and today, he had almost missed his old friend's birthday banquet. What kind of lousy weather is this? Shizhen Tian sat in the car and couldn't help but spit. Unwu leaned against the car door and looked out the window. The corners of his mouth turned up. Grandpa, actually, we could have taken the high-speed train yesterday. It would have only taken a few hours. Shizhen Tian's head seemed to have been pinched by someone. His face turned red and his voice rose in anger. Why didn't you say so earlier? Unwu shrugged nonchalantly. His clear eyes were unexpectedly smiling. I like to see you scold when you're angry. It's really interesting. It's more like the real you. Shizhen Tian looked at his grandson's happy face and couldn't get angry even if he wanted to. You little brat. Unwu and Shizhen Tian went back to the Shi residence first. They had to change into formal wear before going out. Unwu changed into a gentleman's shirt and suit. The lapel on his chest was an elegant purple. The navy blue suit made the originally quiet and beautiful boy look even more spirited. Unwu walked to the front garden to wait for his grandfather. He looked up at the sky. It seemed like it would rain in a few days. The clouds were a little dark. Shizhen Tian had just walked to Yunwu's side when his phone rang. He picked up and it was Qin Rongfang's voice. Old man, when are you going to delay until? Are you going to wait a few days for them to return to Jiang District for the banquet? Shizhen Tian said, I'm here. I'll rush over before you reincarnate. Unwu had never met so many old people. They were saying, old man, rushing to reincarnate, and cursing at each other with such inauspicious words, but they were not angry at all. Instead, they were so happy. Qin Rongfang said, hurry up or my granddaughter-in-law won't offer you any tea. Old Jiang said you're not allowed to come. How dare he? I'll send you a picture of my grandson and granddaughter-in-law. They're a match made in heaven. Let me tell you, their children will definitely be the best looking. Qin Rongfang hung up after showing off. Just 10 seconds after hanging up, Shizhen Tian received an MMS message. He opened it and saw the woman wearing a fashionable cheongsam. Her slender white arms were wrapped around the man's arm, and her head was leaning on the man's shoulder. She was smiling very sweetly. The handsome and tall man's large hand was wrapped around the woman's small hand that was wrapped around his arm. Her smile was charming. They're really a match made in heaven. Look, you have to find a granddaughter-in-law for Grandpa in the future. She's so beautiful. I can't lose to old man Qin. Unwu nodded perfunctorily. He glanced at it lightly and considered his task completed. Suddenly, a white light flashed in his mind. He snatched Shizhen Tian's phone and enlarged the picture on the screen. The air in his ears stagnated, and there was the sound of falling leaves. He could not accept such a fact. He could not accept it. She had abandoned him and married someone else? No, it was an engagement. It was just an engagement. He could not let her marry Jiang Zhao. He had been waiting for her on Wutong Street for more than a year. It was all because she had broken into his world that he had become an artist for her for more than a year. How could she do this? Grandpa, what's her name? Perhaps there were people who looked so similar in this world. Moreover, the woman in the photo looked older than her and was much more beautiful. He had never seen her put on makeup, so this person shouldn't be her. Old Qin told me yesterday that her name is Yun Yi. This name is really convenient. Shi Zhentian laughed. Wu felt a little annoyed. He reached out to unbutton his suit and returned the phone to Shi Zhentian. His voice was as soft as usual, but he seemed a little impatient. Grandpa, I want her. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 491. Unwu took off his shirt and held it in his hand. He raised his voice and said, "We're only engaged now. I want to take her away. She's mine. She can only marry me." He never knew that the heart that had been swapped could still beat like that. It didn't seem to be his own. He never dared to have his own emotions because he had developed a habit of taking care of his heart. He couldn't change it. When they were together, he just felt that it was a good feeling. But he never thought that she would suddenly disappear. The past month had been torturous. He had thought that once he found her, he would definitely be with her and never allow her to leave again. But she was going to get married. Shi Zhentian saw that his grandson was emotional and worried about his health. He quickly comforted him. "Unwu, there are many women in the world. This girl is beautiful, but there are many more beautiful than her. If you like her, Grandpa will arrange for the daughters of the wealthy families in Haicheng to meet you tomorrow. Whichever girl you like, Grandpa will propose marriage on your behalf, okay? Other than her, I don't want anyone else." Unwu slammed the suit in his hand onto the ground and roared in anger. Shi Zhentian could be ruthless to anyone but his grandson. He had always been very patient with Unwu. "Unwu, Old Qin called this morning to say that they got their marriage certificate this morning and are officially husband and wife. You have been acting strangely recently. Is it related to this girl?" Yunwu's shoulders drooped as he looked at the clouds in the sky. He exhaled softly and slowly clenched his slender fingers. His eyes were cold as he said softly, "Grandpa, I killed 13 people with a gun when I was 9 years old. My bullets and darts have always been accurate. If she's married and can't get a divorce, then I'll use a silent sniper rifle today and let her—" And you paused for a moment and turned to look at Shi Zhentian, whose face was already filled with shock. With a fierce gaze, he spat out 2 words one by one, "Widowed." Shi Zhentian used to be a mafia boss who had seen all kinds of unexpected situations. But when faced with such a situation, he was at a loss. 12 years ago, the Lei family was wiped out and Unwu was shot. It wasn't easy for him to survive with a new heart. Ever since then, he had never said anything harsh to Unwu and always went along with him. Unwu was also very sensible and didn't cause any trouble. He was very cooperative with the doctors and tried his best not to burden the new heart and tried his best to minimize the possibility of rejection. Although Enyu had never gone to school outside and had only hired private tutors, he was still outstanding in every aspect. He didn't know that there would be a day when Enyu would suddenly become like this. Ever since Agui was beaten up that night, he had changed. Perhaps he had changed before. In his impression, Unwu would never get angry at anyone, not to mention Sister Hua, who had always taken care of him, and Agui, who had always taken care of him. It turned out that Unwu had a bottom line. Shi Zhentian pulled Unwu to sit on a white bench in the garden. At this moment, Shi Zhentian's domineering aura was completely gone. All that was left was the care and concern of a grandfather to his grandson. "Unwu, it's normal for you to be attracted to some people. When Grandpa was young, he also met women who were attracted to him and whom he cared about. But the person he married was your grandmother." Unwu didn't want to hear it, but he kept reminding himself not to be irritable. In order to let Unwu adjust his temperament, Shi Zhentian had read a lot of self-cultivation books and learned from Unwu. So when he spoke seriously, it didn't seem like he was just a hooligan who had just finished primary school. There's no such thing as a must in this world. Young people like to say that someone is irreplaceable because someone who can be replaced hasn't appeared yet. Grandpa won't force you. Give yourself some time to go out and play and relax. In short, you can't touch this Yunyi. Grandpa, are you afraid of the Qin family or the Jiang family? Unwu said lightly, but it was a rare provocation. Shi Zhentian's expression became serious. When he saw the pain in Yunwu's eyes, he sighed again and lowered his voice. Unwu, Grandpa and old Qin and old Jiang are brothers. It's a precious friendship that can't be exchanged for a lifetime. This isn't fear, this is mutual respect. That's because there's no hatred between the two of you because you stole my wife. It's because of the brotherhood that there's no hatred between the two of you because you stole my wife. You can't play with a friend's wife. Do you understand? I don't understand, because Jiang Zhao and I aren't friends. Shi Zhentian clenched his fists to calm himself down. He was about to rush forward at any time. How can you say that Jiang Zhao stole your woman? Does Jiang Zhao know that Yun Yi is your woman? Is Yun Yi really your woman? If she is, why did you let her become someone else's wife? You go out every night to look for her, right? Even without my help, isn't it easy for you to find someone in Haiqing? Why can't you find her? Because you don't know her at all. Shi Zhentian's last sentence hit Yunwu's sore spot. Yunwu's arrogance fell, and he couldn't answer. Yes, he didn't know her at all. Other than her name, he knew nothing. He searched for her everywhere based on his memory of her appearance and the last conversation he had with her. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. He didn't even tell her that he liked her and wanted to have her, because by the time he found out, she had already left. He lost her before he could have her. Unwu asked the servant to bring him a suit again, tidied up his appearance, and got into the Qin family's car with Shi Zhentian. And his trip was in exchange for Shi Zhentian's repeated promises. He promised Shi Zhentian that he wouldn't do anything that crossed the line. He had already thought it through. From tomorrow onwards, he would find a woman who was prettier than Yun Yi to be his girlfriend. Then, he wouldn't let his imagination run wild. This way, Shi Zhentian was relieved. Everyone liked good-looking things. It was fine as long as he found someone prettier than Yun Yi. Other young masters had already started fooling around at the age of 17 or 18. Unwu didn't have a female companion yet. He had wanted to mention it for a long time, but Unwu had a dull personality, and he didn't want to affect his life too much. If Unwu was willing to have a girlfriend, he would only be happy. Because of the prelude to the engagement party, the Qin family's birthday banquet was more lively than expected. Unwu followed Shi Zhentian into the Qin family's mansion. The Qin family's mansion could be said to be brightly lit these 2 days. Countless high-tile lights hung in the air, illuminating the entire Qin family's mansion as if it was daytime. Qin Rongfang and Old Master Jiang went up to welcome them together. When old friends met, they were especially affectionate. Unwu stood beside Shi Zhentian with a decent smile and politely greeted Qin Zhentian and Old Master Jiang. After receiving a response, he stood up straight. Before Old Master Jiang could speak, Shi Zhentian raised his hand to stop Old Master Jiang and said, "Did old Qin tell you to call me Old Mr. Shi?" Old Master Jiang shook his head in disdain and denied it. "Even if you turn into ashes, you don't deserve to be called Old Mister. It's better to call you Old Man Shi. Everyone feels comfortable, and you don't sound awkward." As he spoke, he walked past Shi Zhentian and grabbed Yunwu's hand. He said to Shi Zhentian, "Stop fighting. Don't lose face for Unwu. Look at our Unwu, he's as beautiful as our Fian." Shi Zhentian snorted and pulled Unwu from Old Master Jiang's hand to his side. He said angrily with dissatisfaction, "Our Unwu is a dignified man." Qin Rongfang was unhappy when he heard this. He rolled up his sleeves. "What do you mean? Our Fian is not a dignified man? Do you want to fight?" Shi Zhentian said disdainfully, "You think you can beat me? I don't want to be compared to someone like you who isn't on the same level. If you don't believe me, in a few years, I'll have a grandson in my hands. You'll have to bring Zhao Zhao's son to bear the surname Qin. Let's see if old Jiang is willing to give him to you." Zhao Zhao's son, so what if he brings one to bear the surname Qin? Are you envious that I have so many children and grandchildren? Let me tell you, I've already told Fian. I've already found a place for artificial insemination. You must give birth. Give birth, give birth. I'll let Unwoo wait for Fian for a few years. Let me tell you, this is completely because I sympathize with you. Qin Rongfang said shamelessly. You don't need to sympathize with me. You can even ask Unwoo to bring a fat boy for me. Grandpa Shi Unwoo. Yunwoo's shoulder was patted by someone. He turned around and saw that it was Jiang Zhao leading Yi Er over. Jiang Zhao first greeted Shi Zhentian, then introduced Yi Er. Yi Er followed Jiang Zhao and bowed slightly. Hello, Grandpa Qin. Shi Zhentian kept praising Yi Er for being beautiful and sensible. When Yi Er saw Unwoo, the smile on her face froze. Shi Zhentian's mood was also suppressed. He was afraid that others would notice something. Jiang Zhao shook hands with Unwoo and let go. Jiang Zhao saw that Yi Er didn't say anything and put an arm around her shoulder. Yunyi? Before Yi Er could recover from her shock, Unwoo had already reached out his hand to Yi Er. His eyes were clear and contained a gentle smile. My name is Shi Unwoo. Shi as in place, N as in kindness, U as in blessing. Grandpa hoped that I would be blessed by God and be safe forever, so he gave me this name. Yi Er reached out to shake his hand. She was shocked to realize that Unwoo didn't seem to remember. So your name is Shi Unwoo. Hello, long time no see. My name is Yun Yi. Do you still remember? Shi Zhentian was still nervous. When he heard this, he knew that his grandson was imagining things. Jiang Zhao was stunned. Unwoo tightened his grip on Yi Er's hand. Then he chuckled and glanced at Jiang Zhao. I used to say that I met a nouveau riche who didn't know how to appreciate my paintings. So her name is Yun Yi. She's actually Brother Zhao's new wife. What fate? Jiang Zhao's expression softened a little. Yi Er pursed her lips. So you don't remember my name? I remember telling you about it. Unwoo said, You did? Yi Er shrugged indifferently. My name is a little tacky. You're an artist. It's normal that you don't remember. Jiang Zhao's large hand was still around Yi Er's shoulder. He patted her. I think it's okay. It's elegant and doesn't match you. You're so annoying. Unwoo didn't let go of Yi Er's hand. His smile was as warm as the tender willows sprouting in Jiangnan in February. It made people itch. He was polite, and his tone was appropriate. They didn't seem familiar. It was as if he had really just met Yi Er. Nice to meet you. Me too. Shi Unwoo. It's a very nice name. The two of them finally separated their hands. Qin Rongfang wasn't very calm, but he forced himself to be calm. He walked over and patted Yunwoo's shoulder. Unwoo, call her sister-in-law. When Unwoo looked at Jiang Zhao, he smiled very innocently. It was an expression of extreme embarrassment. His eyes were so clear that one could see the bottom. He reached out and scratched his head. Brother Zhao, I really can't say that. She looks so young. Jiang Zhao's brows relaxed. He was secretly thinking about Yi Er's outfit today. She was wearing a champagne-colored imported satin gown with a V-neck pleated sleeves. The epaulettes on her shoulder pads were decorated with flashing diamonds and beads. The four-finger-wide belt accentuated her good figure. Although the color and style wasn't complicated, it was very elegant. It was slightly mature but not revealing. Shinwoo 799. Chapter 492. Coupled with makeup and a loose bun, how could she possibly look young with such an outfit? Was she upset that he was much older than her? Many people had said that they were a good match today. Yi Er pursed her lips and looked at Jiang Zhao. You abducted and sold underage girls. Jiang Zhao covered her mouth with his hand and said fiercely, Don't tell anyone about it. Otherwise, I'll put you under house arrest. After saying that, he laughed wantonly. Yi Er was also amused. Everyone standing there laughed at their interaction. Even old Master Jiang, who usually pretended to be serious, said, Zhao Zhao, don't act like a child after getting married. A man should be more mature. However, Qin Rongfang raised his elbow and hit old Master Jiang's arm. He snorted and said, You're interfering with my grandson's smile. Aren't you interfering too much? If Zhao Zhao can't even smile when he sees his wife, will you be happy? Old Master Jiang proudly raised his eyebrows. Can't help it. You have to take my surname Jiang. Qin Rongfang snorted. Yi Er's heart trembled. She secretly begged, Zhao Zhao, give me some face and smile more. I'll rely on you from now on. Yunwa's eyes were full of smiles. They were so warm that they seemed to be able to melt everything. When the servants came to lead the guests to their seats, Jiang Zhao and Qin Rongfang followed. Jiang Zhao and Yi Er were still standing there. Jiang Zhao turned and looked at Yi Er. His face was expressionless. He even helped Yi Er adjust the beads on her shoulder and asked, How long have you known him? More than a year. More than a year. He doesn't know your name? You don't know his name either? Yeah. I actually told him my name once, but he didn't remember it. But I didn't ask for his name. It's not a bad name. It sounds better than mine. Yi Er sighed. After that day, she didn't dare to go to Wutong Street again. It was good that he didn't remember. She was afraid of the embarrassment. Today, she felt like she was a thief who had been caught red-handed. Therefore, it was better to keep her worries to herself. She couldn't confide in anyone. It was too dangerous. Don't you have any friendship? I bought a few paintings. Last time. Yi Er suddenly felt that she couldn't continue. What should she do? Should she say it? You seem to be quite regretful that he doesn't remember your name, Jiang Zhao said before Yi Er could decide whether to say it or not. Yi Er pouted. Of course, how could there be such a person? I told him my name, but he couldn't remember it. How could he not be angry? But I can't lose my composure today, can I? If it was any other day. What would you do if it was any other day? Yi Er said fiercely, I would roll my eyes at him. Jiang Zhao snorted. Yi Er thought that Jiang Zhao disliked her for not behaving like a lady from a wealthy family, so she stopped bad-mouthing him behind his back. She held onto Jiang Zhao's arm and walked towards the restaurant. She started to praise Unwu again. Did you notice that Unwu is as beautiful as Fian? Both of them belong to the category where it's hard to tell if they're male or female and have soft skin and tender flesh. They're so good-looking that if they put on wigs, no one would know they're men. They're even better looking than women. Jiang Zhao said coldly, Shallow. What do you mean shallow? Beautiful is beautiful. Using beautiful to describe a man, if you're not shallow, then what are you? Jiang Zhao shook off Yi Er's hand with a cold face and strode towards the restaurant alone. Yi Er was stunned. What did he dislike about her again? Shallow? Should she really go to school quickly? Otherwise, she would really be shallow. She quickly lifted her feet and chased after Jiang Zhao. Hubby, when Grandpa's birthday banquet is over, I'll go to school, okay? Hubby, what major do you think I should study? Why don't you help me pick one? You know a lot. Hubby, don't be like this. You're so serious. You're not as handsome as when you smile. Jiang Zhao stopped in his tracks and once again pried Yi Er's hand away from his arm. He reached out and pinched the collar of his suit. He lifted it up handsomely and then put it down. He slowly lifted his chin and outlined his strong features. His exquisite and powerful eyebrows raised slightly and his thin lips pursed into a smile. It was a smile that was full of masculinity and evil. He was so handsome that it made her heart beat faster. It doesn't matter if I'm handsome or not. Naturally, there will be people who like me and admire me. Go to the restaurant. There are beautiful young men there for you to drool over. Yi Er watched as the man turned and left. She stood there alone and was stunned. Was she that perverted? Did she flatter him wrongly? Her original intention was to say that he was very handsome and that he looked even more handsome when he smiled. She didn't say that he wasn't handsome and that he wasn't handsome either. Insulting others was just pretentious. If it was said that Jiang Zhao felt uncomfortable because Yi Er praised Yunwa's beauty, it was only temporary because Yunwa's eyes were clear and clean. The way he looked at Yi Er was also exceptionally clear. He was like that to everyone. Jiang Zhao only treated Yi Er as a child. It was understandable that she liked beautiful things. He wasn't that neurotic. However, when family Min came to celebrate the birthday, Jiang Zhao was obviously unhappy when he saw Min Zikai. What was this? His marriage partner was the ex-fiancée of the person who came to celebrate the birthday. Although she wasn't here for the wedding banquet, she was here to celebrate the birthday. However, Min Zikai looked at Yi Er with both love and hate. Jiang Zhao just wanted to find a golf club, raise it in the most beautiful position, and swing it towards his head. Brother Zhao, ninth sister is telling you that you should change your head to swing the club. Really. Jiang Zhao's speedy marriage wouldn't be sensationalized on the news. It was also impossible for the media to sensationalize this matter. After all, he was a political figure and not the head of state. However, the news quickly spread among the major families. When Min Zikai found out about this, he smashed something. It had only been a few days. A few days ago, he had talked to Yi Er on unparalleled beauty. He knew that Yi Er was against him, so he would take it slow. He had been too busy these few days and didn't pay attention to the gossip. How could it be that Yi Er was the one who proposed? Was it because of her father? She was willing to marry a man who was so much older than her for her father? She had even looked for him because of her younger brother. After that, she said she didn't want to help. Was it because of Jiang Zhao? Feng Yu had always felt that other than him, she would not rely on anyone else. But she had relied on someone else. Min Zikai had calmed down. He rushed back home. He must tell his family about this matter. What did it mean for Jiang Zhao to marry Yi Er? It meant that Jiang Zhao was openly opposing Mayor Qin. If this was the case, would it only affect Jiang Zhao, Qin family, Zhou family, and Jiang family of Jiang district? There might be more people involved in this matter. Then what about family Min? Will they be the second Yun family? Jiang Zhao was not joking when he said those words. It's a pity to see the fall of a major family. Were they going to wait for their deaths? That was why the Min family brought a congratulatory gift to the banquet tonight. Today was the birthday banquet, and it was different from yesterday's banquet. So, there was not much difference between men and women. But the elders of the Qin family were still seated in the main hall. These were the rules set every year. Qin Rongfang was an experienced man. When he accepted family Min's toasts, he would say some nice words. But the birthday boy was not the main character. Min Zikai walked around the dining area and saw Yi Er and Jiang Zhao chatting with some female guests. He walked over with a slender champagne glass. Before Yi Er could turn around, Min Zikai's glass knocked against hers. Yi Er's glass shook when Min Zikai knocked against hers. Dear. After Min Zikai clinked glasses, he raised his slender champagne glass and was about to drink when Yi Er also raised her glass generously and smiled. Young Master Min, my husband is here. Please call me Mrs. Jiang. After saying that, Er brought the wine cup to her lips and raised her head slightly. She also looked up. The light yellow liquid in the sparkling glass made it look like someone had sprinkled diamonds on it. It slowly slid into the woman's mouth. This woman who was drinking champagne exuded an elegant and seductive aura. Her gaze, which was originally looking upwards, suddenly turned to Jiang Zhao, who was beside her, and threw him a coquettish glance. Jiang Zhao froze for a second, then smiled and wrapped his arm around the woman's waist like a gentleman. Before Min Zikai's wine glass reached his mouth, he raised his own glass and clinked it with Min Zikai's. Young Master Min, are you here to wish us a blissful marriage? Thank you. Min Zikai was embarrassed and angry. After Jiang Zhao took a sip, he ignored Min Zikai's stiffness and clinked glasses with Yi Er. I wish Mrs. Jiang will always be beautiful. I'm not drinking. Yi Er pouted coquettishly. But how can anyone be beautiful forever? When I'm old and not beautiful anymore, you'll despise me. I'm not drinking. How can that be? In my eyes, Mrs. Jiang will always be beautiful. It has nothing to do with age. After Jiang Zhao finished speaking, he looked at Yi Er's puffed-up cheeks. At this moment, they deflated and the corners of her lips curved. He couldn't help but lift the hand around her waist and pull her closer to him. He lowered his head and planted a soft kiss on her forehead. Yi Er only felt her heart melt at this moment. This bastard, in order to provoke her ex-fiancé, did he have to say such mushy words of love? Did he have to kiss her so tenderly? She would be deceived to death by him. Let's drink a few more glasses tonight? Yi Er's eyes curved as she suggested coquettishly. Jiang Zhao raised his eyebrows and accepted the challenge. Let's get drunk. Do you dare? Min Zikai felt like he was unnecessary here. He had wanted to show off his intimacy with Yi Er in front of Jiang Zhao, but now he had let someone else show off their affection. Unwu stood in the distance and played with the red wine glass in his hand. When he saw the man kissing the woman's forehead, the stem of the glass snapped in his hand. The glass fell to the ground and broke into pieces of uneven sizes. The red wine spilled all over the handsome young man's shoes. The servant hurried over to help him wipe it off. He knelt down affectionately and took the white cloth from the servant's hand. When the servant saw the thin stem of the glass in his hand, she exclaimed, "Oh my God, young Master Yunwu's hand is bleeding. Let me throw it away." "No need," Unwu replied with a faint smile. "The broken glass is so sharp. It's too sharp." Unwu handed the cloth back to the servant. "Thank you. Don't worry about the wound. I'll take care of it myself." He asked the servant to leave and looked at the stem of the glass in his hand. It was indeed sharp. Was it able to pierce his heart like a bullet? His gaze shifted again. The couple was still chatting and laughing. He tightened his grip on the stem of the glass and turned to walk over there. He had only taken a few steps when the host announced the start of the banquet. Yi Er and Jiang Zhao walked over to Qin Rongfang's side. Yunwu's sleeve was grabbed. "Your hand is bleeding. Let me wrap it for you." Attention, Hongcha 866. Chapter 493. Turning his head, Unwu saw a girl with a ponytail. She looked very innocent, and her eyes looked like she was 16 or 17 years old. Her black hair fell over her shoulders, and a headband gathered the hair on her forehead, revealing her bright forehead. "No need." Fei Qin Fian walked over and called out to the girl, "Grandpa called you over. What are you doing here?" "Brother, this brother's hand is bleeding. Call the family doctor to bandage it." Fei Yu looked at Yunwu's hand, which was still bleeding. "Unwu, are you okay?" Qin Fian also frowned. He didn't care if Unwu refused and said to Fei Yu, "Little Yu, call Uncle Wu to call Dr. Zhang over. The glass was cut. We need to see if there are any shards inside." Fei Yu heard her brother's words and hurriedly went to find the housekeeper. Qin Fian took the cup from Yunwu's hand and threw it in the bin. Looking at the wound on Yunwu's finger, he said guiltily, I'm sorry. The quality of this cup is too low." Qin Fian muttered in his heart. Zhuang Yichen, this guy, even said that his nightclub would import a batch of crystal cups from Italy as a gift for the old man's birthday. All the cups used for this banquet would be provided by him. This was not a small sum, but it was so fragile. "Brother Yen, you're too serious." "I was careless." Yi said that Qin Fian and Unwu were both delicate men, as beautiful as women. But they were different. If Qin Fian smiled, it was as if he could steal a person's soul. He was so devilish that people couldn't help but want to tease him. As for Enyo, no matter what, he was as indifferent as a pool of water. Just looking at him made one's heart itch, and it was hard to endure. One couldn't bear to say anything unpleasant to his ears. Unwu saw that the couple had already taken their seats, so he let Qin Fian take the cup in his hand. He swore in his heart, "Yunyu, whether it's white clouds or dark clouds, you can't float out of my sky." Jiang Zhao was a sensitive man. He could sense Yi Er's attitude towards Min Zikai. Even if he had feelings for Min Zikai, it was likely that he had been hurt when he broke off the engagement. He was very satisfied with her performance just now and felt that she should be rewarded. He whispered into her ear, "Mrs. Jiang, I have a gift for you tonight." "What gift?" Yi Er was a little excited. She picked up the glass and took a sip of the juice. "I want to reward you with a new position tonight and give you something new." Yi Er hurriedly covered her mouth and used all her strength to prevent herself from spitting out the juice that had just entered her mouth. Every table was covered with a large tablecloth that almost reached the ground. Yi Er sat beside Jiang Zhao and realized that the man had already pulled the tablecloth lightly and covered her legs. She wanted to shrink back, but her knees were caught by the man's strong hands. Yi Er sat on the stool, allowing the pair of hands under the tablecloth to do whatever they wanted. Her face was flushed red. Unwoo chose to sit at the same table as Jiang Zhao and Jiang Zhao. From time to time, he would exchange a few words with Yi Er and Jiang Zhao. Min Zikai seemed to be unwilling to give up. He wanted to sit at the same table as Yi Er, but his mother stopped him. At the same table sat Jiang Zhao, Yi Er, Qin Feiyu, Qin Fian, Unwoo, Jiang Rui, and Xiang Wan. When Tseng Tingting came, it could be described as a passing breeze. Last night, she wanted to come no matter what. However, Zheng Weiguo ordered her to stay at home because Tseng Tingting threatened not to let Jiang Zhao get married smoothly. Great, now that the marriage certificate had been taken, no matter how much she struggled, it would be useless. Today was the birthday. She called Qin Rongfang and said that she wanted to come to the birthday celebration. How could Qin Rongfang not agree? He even scolded Zheng Weiguo, saying that how could he discipline his child like this? He must bring Tingting over for dinner. Qin Rongfang had no choice. Even if he knew that there would be some commotion today, he had to agree. He could not be so narrow-minded. Tseng Tingting came to the birthday celebration, but she only said a few auspicious words to Qin Rongfang. Then she went to Jiang Zhao's table and threw her handbag on the table. She did not care about the eyes of others and directly sat down on the chair next to Jiang Zhao. Ye was not worried about Tseng Tingting at all. She could intuitively feel that Jiang Zhao would not like this kind of girl. Although she pretended to be a lady outside, she could not bear loneliness and could not bear it for long. Unlike her, she could bear it all the way until the end, leaving Jiang Zhao speechless. However, Tseng Tingting was too ferocious. Her retaliation was too severe. Jiang Zhao would not like such a girl. If he wanted to guard against her, he should guard against the virtuous northern city golden silk bird beside his grandfather. Tseng Tingting was indeed as Yi Er thought. She was impatient. She had a good reputation outside, but that was because she did not appear for long. Now, with Mrs. Temper and her resentment towards Jiang Zhao and Yi Er, she said that it was an engagement. It had only been a day, but they had already gotten their marriage certificate. It was infuriating. The words that came out of her mouth were very sharp and unkind. The table was round. As long as she tilted her head and leaned forward slightly, she could see past Jiang Zhao and see Yi Er. She said angrily, do you think you can be a phoenix just because you climbed up the tree? Haven't you heard that a plucked phoenix is inferior to a chicken? Unwoo frowned and lowered his eyelashes to prevent others from seeing the change in his emotions. He slowly clenched his fists. He knew about the Yun family's affairs and could understand what she meant when she lied on the grass and said that she had sold herself to him. Other than heartache, there was nothing else. If it were his woman, he would never allow others to humiliate her at such an event. Jiang Zhao's face darkened. He turned his head and was about to scold her when Yi Er grabbed his hand and tugged at it, signaling him not to speak. At this moment, Yi Er had a bright smile on her face. She held Jiang Zhao's arm and intimately leaned over. She said to Tseng Tingting, I know that I'm inferior to Miss Tseng. I've never denied it. In an instant, everyone at the table spat out wine, water, and whatever else came out of their mouths. However, they hurriedly grabbed their napkins to block it. Everyone went, pfft. Unwoo immediately laughed. If Yi Er was a plucked phoenix, then wouldn't Tseng Tingting be a chicken? Jiang Zhao squeezed Yi Er's hand and stroked it with his other hand. Yes, his woman should be like this. How could he let others bully her? He could bully her, but not others. No matter if it was a man or a woman. Yi Er held Jiang Zhao's arm as if no one else was around. She looked at Tseng Tingting talking to Jiang Zhao. Hubby, a phoenix has plucked its feathers. You have to buy more clothes for her to wear. Even if she can't be a phoenix, she should at least look like a peacock. However, Jiang Zhao lowered his head and whispered in her ear, it's better if she doesn't wear it. She doesn't have to take it off. When Yi Er heard Jiang Zhao's perverted words, she instantly felt discouraged. She lowered her head and said softly, I'm hungry. Just as she finished speaking, she heard Jiang Zhao's low voice again. I'll feed you at night. I'll make sure you're full. Don't worry. Yi Er started to pretend that she didn't hear anything. Tseng Tingting was fuming. She was scolded, but everyone treated her as a joke. Jiang Zhao didn't even take it seriously? Jiang Rui and Xiang Wan pretended that they didn't see what they were talking about. Unwu liked Yi Er more and more. Since Grandpa didn't allow them to be so brazen, he wanted her to come to him willingly one day and leave him willingly. Very good, a Tsing Tingting. Compared to Tsing Tingting, Ouyang Yen was much more well-behaved. She didn't provoke them and didn't come over to look for trouble. Many people toasted Qin Rongfang, and Ouyang Yen was even more considerate than her own granddaughter. Qin Fian looked over and said helplessly, "Brother, it's really inappropriate. Sister Yan's surname isn't Qin yet. She's busy over there. I'll go over and help her. You're a newlywed, take your time to enjoy it." "Brother, sister-in-law, I'll go over to Grandpa's place first." Qin Fian stood up and greeted them. Jiang Rui said, "Go ahead." Qin Fian patted Yunwu's shoulder again. "Unwu, I'm sorry for not serving you well." Unwu shook his head and smiled. "Brother Yen, you're always so formal. Go ahead." Qin Fian lifted his butt and Fei Yu sat beside Unwu. The little girl blinked her eyes. "Your grandpa she's grandson? Is your hand better? Why didn't you bandage it?" Unwu saw that Fei Yu wanted to reach out to him, so he took the opportunity to put his injured hand on his thigh. "I'm not used to being bandaged, and it's uncomfortable. The doctor has already disinfected it. It's fine now that the bleeding has stopped. I'm sorry to have made little you worried." Yi Er heard that and quickly turned to look at Unwu. She stood up and walked over, asking with concern, "Unwu is injured?" Unwu stretched out his hand from his thigh and showed it to Yi Er. He smiled indifferently. "It was cut by the broken glass just now." Yi Er held Yunwu's hand and looked at the wound on his slender index finger. It wasn't bleeding badly, but it felt wet. Unwu closed his mouth and breathed slowly. He felt his hand in her palm. He didn't have to do that. He could have held her hand and strolled around, experiencing the joy brought by her laughter. It was a feeling that he hadn't experienced for more than 10 years. He missed it for a while, but he couldn't miss it forever. He looked at his hand, and his nose was filled with the scent of her perfume. The fragrance was different from the thin layer of makeup on her face. It was faint and lingered in his mind. "How can you not bandage it? It'll definitely be infected. How can you be so stubborn?" Yi Er's tone sounded like she was talking to her younger brother, Si Jie. She was worried, angry, and scolding. Then she turned to leave. "I'm going to find something to bandage it for you. Wait here." Jiang Zhao walked over to Yi Er's side and pulled her back to her seat. He called out to a servant. "I'll have to trouble Dr. Zhang to come over and bandage young Master Yunwu's wound." Unwu thought for a moment. This time, he didn't refuse. He had been too pleased with himself just now. Jiang Zhao couldn't escape Yunwu's little actions. When Fei Yu wanted to take a look for him, he withdrew his hand. However, had only asked him a question and he had already extended his hand? And Yi Er was so concerned about him? Just as Jiang Zhao's thoughts were slowly sinking, Unwu chuckled and said, "It's good to bandage it. If my girlfriend sees it tomorrow, she'll disturb me again. I'm really afraid of her." Wasn't she disturbing him like this right now? She hated him for being stubborn and was afraid he'd be infected. Was this what a girlfriend was like? Everyone could hear Yunwu's tone. If that girl was next to him, he would definitely rub her hair very, very lovingly. This boy who usually looked at everyone the same way had a gorgeous light in his eyes. Jiang Zhao thought he was seeing things. When he looked at Yi Er again, she looked relieved and relieved. He really thought too much. It was normal for people to leave at a banquet. But in a rich and powerful family, there were many people trying to curry favor. It was already past 11, but the crowd was still there. Jiang Zhao naturally had more to deal with. Welfare Hongcha 866. Chapter 494. When a man looked for another man to talk about important matters, he would send his wife to accompany another man's wife. They would either gossip or play mahjong. Those who looked for Yi Er were more gossipy. Yi Er came from a wealthy family, so she knew that she shouldn't talk too much. She stopped at a certain point. Actually, she didn't know much about Jiang Zhao, and those who tried to worm their way into being friends with her wanted to know more about his policies. Yi Er avoided the topic perfectly. Mrs. Lee, what are you talking about? I don't know much about men's affairs. No wonder there are so few women in politics. Just listening to the news gives me a headache. It wasn't until Yi Er was called away by Ouyang Yen that the troublesome social interactions ended. Yi Er didn't want to go, but she didn't want to lose the battle. The flower rack in the backyard was too annoying. Yi Er didn't go over and stood at the doorway. Speak. Ouyang Yen could feel her impoliteness towards Ouyang Yen. Do you have a problem with me? Yi Er shrugged. No problem. It would be weird if she didn't have a problem. A mistress was so arrogant. Ouyang Yen worked in the prosecutor's office. Not only did she handle anti-corruption cases, but she also handled appeals from the Public Security Bureau. She was more observant, analytical, and discerning than most women. Yi Er's hostility towards her was too obvious, even though she tried to hide it. The older the ginger, the spicier it was. Yi Er knew how to conduct herself, but she still hadn't learned how to be a mistress in front of a mistress. Ouyang Yen tried to sound her out. She spoke first with a hint of provocation. I'm staying at Qingbei condominium. Yi Er got angry when she heard this. What's so great about you? You're just a mistress. Besides, I don't want to live in the apartment in the north of the city anymore. I'm just giving you the place where I used to sleep. Ouyang Yen suddenly smiled brightly. Yi Er was still young after all. His words were filled with jealousy and he had already revealed too much information. Ouyang Yen carefully analyzed the other party's mentality and probed further. A mistress isn't a big deal, but what if the person the man loves is a mistress? Then you can continue to be loved by him like this. Continue to be a golden bird in the north of the city. Yi Er had always been wary of the existence of the Ouyang Yen, but she didn't know that this woman would be so shameless as to confront her directly. She wanted to keep the peace, but she didn't give her a chance. Ouyang Yen could finally confirm that Yun Yi definitely did not know that she and Jiang Zhao were not really together. Yes, they were not together. She came back and bought baby's breath and lilac to tell him that she missed him very, very much. If not for this Yun Yi, the one getting the marriage certificate with Jiang Zhao would be her, Ouyang Yen. Jiang Zhao married Yun Yi because he was forced by circumstances. Maybe they were not as good as they looked, and they were just putting on an act. If not, why would Yun Yi treat her like this? Ouyang Yen said, I want to make a deal with you. Flatly refused, not interested. Ouyang Yen said confidently, it is related to your father. Yi finally looked at Ouyang Yen. Your father's case is still with the Public Security Bureau, and there is no appeal to the prosecutor's office. There is something fishy about this case. Jiang Zhao is only a deputy mayor and is not a member of the standing committee. If he helped your father and did not harm his and the Qin family's interests, your father would have been tortured to death. I have a solution for your father's case, and I don't want to drag Jiang Zhao into this. Ouyang Yen was not a fool. Yi Er was jealous because she cared about Jiang Zhao. What if she used the best of both worlds to tempt her? Yi Er took a deep breath and asked, What do you want? Ouyang Yan's picturesque eyebrows held a faint smile, but it carried a trace of coldness. She stood in front of Yi Er and tilted her chin slightly forward as she slowly said, I want Jiang Zhao. I want him to belong to me alone. I don't want to be a prostitute in the north of the city. I want to be the legitimate Mrs. Jiang. You ask for a divorce from him. Yi Er just stood there. She was considered to be very tall among girls, but she was still very tall. She was still wearing high heels and a mature gown. She stood there and felt that her height was shrinking. The backyard door was smaller than the front door, but there was still a red lantern hanging on the lintel to show the festive mood from yesterday. The lantern would be hanging for a few more days. It was because old Master Qin's precious grandson was getting engaged. That granddaughter-in-law was standing under the lantern, and her face was red. Yi Er knew that her breathing was a little unstable. She just looked at the woman in front of her. This woman was 4 or 5 centimeters shorter than her, but that kind of arrogance and confidence rushed up from the bottom of her feet. No matter how she looked at her, she was a person who stood aloof from worldly affairs. But this woman was fighting with her for a man. She was using the most important man in her life to fight. She didn't know how this woman did it. Even when she was threatening people like this, She was still calm and collected, just like Jiang Zhao. No matter what she did, she could do it without panicking. There was absolutely no flaw in it. She was clearly the one wearing a gorgeous evening gown today and was helping her grandfather receive the guests as a member of the Qin family. Ouyang Yen was just a guest, but she treated everyone like a member of the family. She was polite and courteous to everyone. Everyone said that she didn't look like an inspector, but a gentle and virtuous housewife. Didn't she want to be Jiang Zhao's wife? Ouyang Yen was undoubtedly arrogant. Her arrogance was different from Tsing Tingting's. Tsing Tingting's arrogance didn't have any foundation and only made people find it funny. Ouyang Yen was like a strategist, like a chess player who could see through the game. Once upon a time, she also sat arrogantly in front of Jiang Zhao and threatened him. Jiang Zhao asked her for her conditions. She said that she wanted to reduce her father's sentence. Otherwise, she would spread all those photos. But what she got was ruthless revenge. Ouyang Yen. This eyesore, how could she take revenge on her? What a joke. Why should I not trust my husband and trust you? Why do you think you can threaten me? Because you are a mistress? Because I am now firmly in the position of Mrs. Jiang? Because you only dare to threaten me and ask me to divorce my husband in such a place? Are you threatening me? Who do you think you are? Ye was almost imitating Jiang Zhao's tone to fight back against Ouyang Yen. She could only use the word husband to replace Jiang Zhao with the word husband to declare her status and to increase her confidence. She had to learn to use the imposing manner of a fox borrowing the tiger's might to resist the other party with an aggressive aura. She had no choice. She was forced to this point and was so blatantly forced by a mistress. She had to defend what she wanted to defend. Even if this marriage was obtained through improper means, she still had to defend it. Miss from a prestigious family like Ouyang Yen could also swallow her anger and be a mistress. Even if she wanted to be promoted to the main wife, she did not dare to make trouble with Jiang Zhao. But was it because she was afraid that Jiang Zhao would hate her? She knew that Jiang Zhao would not like a woman like Tsing Tingting who did not know how to endure. A man like him who had lived a good life since he was young and had an excellent career development was arrogant and looked down on everything. How could he allow a woman to climb over his head? Ouyang Yen knew the logic behind this. So she had been enduring and being an obedient person until she avoided everyone's eyes before coming to find her? She did not directly find Jiang Zhao to make trouble, but instead came to find her? Wasn't it said that a smart mistress would persuade a man not to divorce because she was willing to suffer? On the surface, Ouyang Yen was willing to suffer in front of Jiang Zhao, but behind her back, she came to provoke and coerce? What did Ouyang Yen say? The person the man loved was a mistress? She did not care if there was any love between them. Even if she could not get his love, she would get his person. She had always felt that Jiang Zhao was not a good person from the beginning, but now she liked this bad person. She knew that he was a pervert, he was a hypocrite, he was an out-and-out cunning man. He would not make a losing deal, he would only do things for his own benefit. She was also not a good woman from the beginning. She threatened, he took revenge, she resisted, and he attacked. She had an impure motive to interact with him step by step and make a deal with him. They each took what they needed. She relied on his power and he enjoyed her body. They both felt that it was natural and no one owed the other. But he was much better than those sanctimonious men. Even if he did not promise, he would do what he had to do. He would not brush her off. Min Zikai was her ex-fiancé. When she needed help the most, the family Min broke off the engagement. That man left just like that without even a word of comfort. His mother abandoned everyone and fled far away. When the company closed down, she was not even 18 years old and had to run to various judicial departments. She did not know anything. To repay the debts, she could only rely on the family's real estate. She sold the houses one by one and dealt with the factory and company. She wanted to be like those girls on TV who suddenly stood up when her father's company was about to close down and turn the tide. But she felt that it was very difficult. She could not. She did not understand financial statements, did not know management, and did not know how to communicate with the shareholders. When the workers went on strike, she could not do anything. She could only find a lawyer to auction and transfer. She lost everything that her father had worked hard for. She took the only property that her father could not sell, the old house that her brother lived in 80 years ago. She struggled for so long. Even if Jiang Zhao suppressed her in all aspects and attacked her in all aspects, he was the only man who had given her the most substantial and direct help. Now this man was her husband. Suddenly, a woman appeared and wanted to snatch it from her like this. She wanted her to pack up and leave. No way. Ouyang Yen was a woman who had a deep understanding of people's hearts. She had faced many people. Communicating, digging, and finding clues were her strengths. Every look in Yi Er's eyes, whether the soles of her feet were on the ground, whether her breath was trembling when she spoke, whether her fists were clenched unnaturally, or whether her tone was weak and she was trying to hide her emotions. Nothing could escape her eyes. But because I've been with him for more than 10 years. Because when I wasn't by his side, those things in the apartment in the north of the city were still things that I bought for him. The clock on the wall, the sofa at home, the tie in the wardrobe. Based on the fact that Seng Tingting learned how to please Jiang Zhao like me, based on the fact that Ouyang Yan's tone was unhurried, and the speed of her speech was getting slower and slower. She followed Yi Er's eyes and did not relax at all. Based on the fact that even if he married you, he would still be with me. It was one thing for Yi Er to know that Jiang Zhao had someone in his heart, but it was another thing for a mistress to openly provoke him like this. She was thinking, what would happen if Ouyang Yen went out to greet the guests with the fingerprints on her face? Would she cry and complain about how she was beaten up? Would she run to Jiang Zhao to take advantage of him? The key was Grandpa. It seemed like Grandpa was very satisfied with Ouyang Yen. There were many people who were against this marriage, especially the Qin family. If she slapped her, she would definitely hit the muzzle of a gun. She was afraid that she would not be able to bear the consequences. Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 495. Yi Er felt that Ouyang Yen was a shrewd woman. She knew that Jiang Zhao didn't like troublesome women, so she asked her to propose a divorce. By then, not only would Jiang Zhao's reputation be affected, but he would also think that she was insensible and fall into Ouyang Yan's arms. She wouldn't be so stupid. Yi Er waved her hands in front of her, but she was a hooligan. Ha, Ouyang Yen, you can't provoke me. If you have the ability, go find Jiang Zhao and ask him to propose a divorce. But let me tell you, I won't agree. I like to make a big deal out of things. You wretched mistress, bring it on. Ouyang Yen didn't expect any progress in this matter, but she felt that tonight's conversation wasn't in vain. She couldn't find anything useful from Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao's thoughts were too deep, and his eyes were too sharp. She couldn't find any weakness in his speech and behavior, so she couldn't figure him out. But this Yun Yi was only 19 years old. It was impossible for her to be as experienced as Jiang Zhao. It seemed that the relationship between the two of them wasn't very good. She still had a chance. Yun Yi, don't be so smug. Anyway, the person Jiang Zhao loves is me. I have all the time to wait. But I think you should go and see your father. The engagement is such a good thing. How can you not inform him? Although visiting takes time, I have some connections. I can lend you a back door. Can you go and see him tomorrow? When Yi Er heard Ouyang Yan's high-spirited tone, she wanted to strangle her. Her father was suffering in prison, but this woman still talked so energetically in front of her. It wasn't that she didn't want to go and tell her father the good news, or go and see him. But she had just married Jiang Zhao. There were some requests that she didn't dare to make, and she didn't dare to make excessive requests in the Qin family. Ouyang Yen, this damned woman. No. Yi Er stubbornly wanted to say no. Ouyang Yen replied quickly. She had always been gentle when she spoke. Now that she was talking to Yi Er, her words were like a gentle knife. You don't know this, but the way the police handle cases is different from the way we handle cases in the procuratorate. The procuratorate attitude is famous for being very good. They ask questions, investigate, and are very patient. When the police want to close a case, they will often use torture to extort a confession. You also know that your father is not even 50 years old. Your father is also quite manly. He stubbornly held on for so long and refused to admit it. He said that he would never let his son and daughter be tainted with the name of a criminal father and go out to be judged by others. He must be dreaming, right? I'm afraid the news of your marriage with Jiang Zhao has spread overnight. Yunye, do you think that your marriage with Jiang Zhao will be of great help to your father? Maybe someone can't sit still anymore. Your father's case might be closed in a few days. At such a critical time, it's normal for him to suffer some physical pain. How could Yi Er withstand such provocation? Before she married Jiang Zhao, her weakness was her younger brother and father. Every time she visited them in prison, they comforted each other. However, when had she not seen her father's old age with her own eyes? Torture to extort a confession? Physical pain? No matter how heartless she was, it was impossible for her to remain calm when she heard that her father was going to be tortured. Ouyang Yan, I will save my father. Yi Er took a deep breath and exhaled. Jiang Zhao, I want him too. You're dreaming. Ouyang Yan did not care that Yi Er's eyes were already filled with pain. She said disdainfully, you're really able to endure staying with a man who doesn't love you. Yi Er's lips twitched. Same here. When Ouyang Yan saw Yi Er's stiff body leave, a victorious smile appeared on her lips. After the crowd dispersed, Yi Er and Jiang Zhao returned to the old neighborhood. She knew that she had already lost her heart in this deal with Jiang Zhao, but she couldn't win his heart. It didn't matter. She wanted what he wanted. Today, her original intention was to ruthlessly squeeze him to prevent him from going out and having an affair. However, no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't rouse her interest. When Jiang Zhao kissed her, she was distracted. When he teased her, his entire body was stiff. Jiang Zhao had always been a proud person, including in bed. He just couldn't understand why this woman was like this today. He couldn't feel the slightest bit of passion or interest from her. Yunyi, what do you mean? Finally, after many failed attempts, Jiang Zhao couldn't take it anymore and shouted. Yi Er was dumbfounded by Jiang Zhao's shout. Seeing that Jiang Zhao was angry, Yi Er ruffled her hair. Then she hugged him perfunctorily and kissed him. Her mind was still filled with Ouyang Yan's words. Your father is aging every time, being tortured to extort a confession, suffering physical pain. She had already experienced the extreme joy of having sex with a man and a woman. It was a way to completely let go of herself. However, at this moment, she couldn't immerse herself in it. She seemed to see her father in a bloody mess being tortured by the prison guards. She imagined that in the interrogation room, the interrogator would definitely be cold-faced and force the prisoner to confess to more crimes. Perhaps he would kick them, or they would punch and kick them, or they wouldn't give them food, and so on. When Yi Er hugged Jiang Zhao and kissed him, her entire body started to tremble. Jiang Zhao threw Yi Er away and quickly put on his clothes. He always knew that Yi Er was a woman who could act. She used her acting skills to suppress her dissatisfaction and anger towards him. Under the skin of a little white rabbit was the body of a real fox. He buttoned his shirt and said lightly, if you don't want to do it, then don't make things difficult for yourself with that disgusting look. Yi Er couldn't focus. Even when Jiang Zhao threw her away, she didn't feel anything. Until she heard the metal door slam open. Her body bounced and she saw that the bed was empty. The man was gone. After being stunned for a while, she heard the sound of a car engine starting downstairs. She jumped off the bed barefooted and ran to the balcony. When she bent down, she saw the black A8's headlights shining brightly downstairs. When the car was reversing, the brake light at the back of the car turned red. After a while it stopped. Jiang Zhao. Yi Er watched the car drive away. Her lips were trembling. When she called out the man's name, her entire body was trembling. Did he go to the north of the city? It was good for a man to be like him. He could sit and enjoy the happiness of having multiple wives. If she didn't find comfort here, she could go elsewhere. Yi Er turned around and sat on the ground. This was just the beginning of her life. How could she continue in the future? She was married to such a powerful man, but she didn't even dare to ask to see her father. She was afraid that he would be angry. But why couldn't she ask? He treated her as a woman who was forced to marry for her father. Why couldn't she use such resources? Anyway, she couldn't afford to love him. He didn't care that she treated him well. If she continued to think too highly of herself, she would only get worse and worse. She couldn't do anything well. If she delayed her father, she would live a miserable life. She had to get something, didn't she? She found her phone and called Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao had just driven out of the neighborhood when he heard his phone ring. He held the phone in his hand and looked at the caller ID. He steadied his breath and finally let out a sigh of relief. He stopped the car by the side. A woman's calm voice came from the other end. I don't care if you want to go to her place in the north of the city. But you promised to help my father. You can't forget. I want to visit him tomorrow. Is that okay? Jiang Zhao's expression changed immediately. He shouted into the phone, "Get lost." He threw the phone fiercely. It hit the glass of the front right door and bounced onto the front passenger seat. Jiang Zhao rubbed his temples. His head was hurting. When he left, she didn't react at all. He even waited for a while, waiting for her to tell him. Who exactly did she see tonight that made her look like a ghost? Minzikai? He asked her, but she didn't answer. She just mumbled as if she was admitting it. Now, she didn't ask him what he was doing, where he was going, or whether he was going back. She asked him to go to the north of the city. She didn't care where he was going. Even if he changed women every day, she wouldn't have the slightest reaction as a wife, right? Jiang Zhao drank a few glasses of wine with Zhuang Yichen at the Zhaojun Club. In Jiang Zhao's words, Zhuang Yichen could only be a friend. If he was an enemy, he had to torture him to death. He couldn't stop until he was dead. Otherwise, if he retaliated, it would be a devastating event. Zhuang Yichen clinked his glass with Jiang Zhao's. He teased, "Congratulations, Mr. Jiang. Why aren't you accompanying Mrs. Jiang at this hour? How lonely must Mrs. Jiang be?" Jiang Zhao retorted, "Mrs. Jiang is helping Qiu Xiaoya find a man in a pile of photos. She said that she can't let her good sister be single. She must marry Qiu Xiaoya off as soon as possible. She's too busy." The corners of Zhuang Yichen's eyes twitched slightly. He smiled like a peach blossom. "If you ask me, Brother Zhao, you're a classic example of shooting yourself in the foot. You're a bad example." "I can't help it. Xia Qian and Qiu Xiaoya are smart." Jiang Zhao smiled and put down the cup. He leaned back on the sofa and crossed his legs. His legs that were on the floor were tiptoeing, and his legs that were hanging on his knees were twirling like a big boss. Qiu Xiaoya's brain is really good. How could Xia Qian and Yun come up with such clever ideas? No wonder Kang Yun likes them. They're a good match. When I took Mrs. Jiang to choose a dress, I saw Kang Yun looking at Qiu Xiaoya with honey in her eyes. The peach blossom in Zhuang Yichen's eyes slowly disappeared. "Let's get down to business." Jiang Zhao said straightforwardly, "Get involved in Yun Hongwei's matter first and drag it out from the side. We can't mess with the Qin family's connections now. Otherwise, the impact will be too great. I think someone will make a move on him in the next 2 days." Jiang Zhao and Zhuang Yichen were like this. One second they were talking and laughing, and the next second, the situation suddenly changed. They had long been used to such tacit changes. Benefits? Zhuang Yichen simply said 2 names. He raised his eyebrows at the end of his words. Jiang Zhao bent over and used his fingers to stroke the dice in front of him, as if he was seriously playing a game of Go that was densely packed with chess pieces. His handsome brows revealed an unhurried boldness of having no regrets. Zhuang Yifeng's Shoreline Phase 3 plates are being sold at such a low price. What do you think? Zhuang Yichen's eyes narrowed slightly. I know there's something fishy going on, but I don't think Zhuang Yifeng would sell it at such a low price. His uncle, Old Jiang, is the president of the bank. I also don't think he's in a hurry to sell it because of the tofu dregs project. Jiang Zhao was still playing with the dice. He said calmly, I'll throw you a line that can beat Zhuang Yifeng to a pulp. You can be more ruthless and let him spend his next life in prison or give him the death penalty. You can also drag your father into it. I'll help you smooth it out from the side. How about it? Zhuang Yichen's sitting posture was leaning forward with his elbows on his legs. He looked up at Jiang Zhao with a smile and said straightforwardly, Deal. Jiang Zhao pushed Zhuang Yichen's shoulder and pushed him to the side. He laughed loudly. Don't look at me like that. No matter how handsome you are, I won't fall in love with you. Beauty novel, Shinwoo 799. Chapter 496. Zhuang Yichen sat up straight and laughed. He straightened his black shirt and did not look at Jiang Zhao. He picked up the bottle and poured wine into the 2 crystal glasses in front of him. His movements were a little slow, and so were his words. Brother Zhao, you used to tell me not to rush for quick success and instant benefits, but this time, you left in too much of a hurry. It doesn't matter if you're in a hurry. The key is to be steady. Aren't you afraid that I'll go astray? I believe in you. You believe in me so much for a woman? Jiang Zhao avoided the question and answered lightly, I've always believed in your ability. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken a fancy to you. Zhuang Yichen snorted. He pinched the shirt over his heart and moved back. He glared at Jiang Zhao. Don't mess around. It's useless even if you take a fancy to me. Ha! After Jiang Zhao left Peerless Beauty, he went to a hotel and checked into a room. He looked at his phone from time to time. It was very quiet. He used to think that the woman was very cute when she was clever because he could see through her thoughts at a glance. She was like a little fox that could perform in the palm of his hand. In any case, he watched whatever she acted. It was really a pleasure. He was immersed in her performance for a period of time and wanted to watch it every day. But recently he realized that he could not see through her. He did not know why, but he could not understand what she was thinking. He did not even know what he was thinking. A fox was a fox, not a rabbit. He had never heard of a fox having feelings. Foxes were carnivores and had sharp teeth. Forget it. He did not want to think about that. What else could he do? He would just continue like this. He really hoped that one day he would not want to do anything for her anymore. That would be good. This kind of fickle woman was really not to be touched. The next morning, Jiang Zhao asked Lu Qing to arrange for Yun Hongwei to meet with Yi Er. Lu Qing came back from the prison and stood in front of Jiang Zhao's big desk with a serious expression. Boss, I suggest that we don't let Yi Er visit her father. Jiang Zhao knew that Lu Qing wanted to report the situation to him, so he didn't raise his head. At this time, he was still holding the pen. Hearing Lu Qing's words, he looked up. His clothes were neat and tidy, and his facial features were resolute. There was a faint tiredness in his eyes, but at this time he was in high spirits. Even his gaze was sharper. Last night, they interrogated Yun Hongwei. He was forced to confess, and there were many injuries on his body. Most importantly, his injuries were more serious, unlike the previous times when he only had minor injuries. His clothes could cover them, and Yun Hongwei also covered them up well. This time, he couldn't cover them up. I'm afraid that Yi Er won't be able to take it. I'm guessing that they can't wait any longer. Jiang Zhao frowned and his eyes darkened. He threw the pen in his hand onto the table and stood up from the chair with a whoosh. He rubbed the area around his mouth and chin with one hand and supported his waist with the other. He walked out. He was very tall, and in a short while he walked back and forth in the room. Jiang Zhao was like this, frowning deeply as he paced back and forth in the office. His pace was fast and slow, making Lu Qing dizzy. Lu Qing let them know. They can interrogate him, but I don't think they want to make a big deal out of this. Take care of yourself. Also, think of a way to get him out on medical parole as soon as possible. Lu Qing nodded in agreement, then went out and closed the door. Jiang Zhao pondered over Lu Qing's words. If Yi Er saw this, would she be able to take it? He knew that she had always been strong, and forcing a smile was her specialty. But it was better not to put on such an act. His phone rang. It was Yi Er. He thought for a while and picked it up. Did you sleep well last night? Yi Er's voice was a little hoarse. Pretty good. How about you? Yi Er choked and said calmly, not bad. Both of them were silent for a while, then Yi Er said again, I want to see my father. Is that okay? Wait for my arrangements, Jiang Zhao said. Yi Er sat on the bed and reached out to touch the water stains on her face. How long will it take? Very soon. After hanging up the phone, Yi Er was still sitting on the bed. She had been sitting on the bed like this the whole night, thinking about how they were together, who was on top, how he teased her, how he teased her, how he kissed her, and how he was together with Ouyang Yen. She felt like she was going crazy. She wanted to rush to the apartment in the north of the city and drag her man out, but when she thought about what he said in the car before they got married, she ran downstairs several times and then went upstairs. He slept well, but she didn't sleep the whole night. Her phone rang. It was an unknown number. She pressed it once, but it rang again and again. Yi Er was impressed by the other party's perseverance and picked it up. Yun Yi, what do you think of the conditions I mentioned yesterday? Ouyang Yen, are you very proud? It's only been one night, and you're already so proud? I won't give him to you. Dream on. You're destined to be a mistress for the rest of your life. Yi Er's voice was trembling fiercely. She wondered how her enemy could be so powerful. She wasn't even 20 years old, but they had arranged such a scheming female supporting character for her. She felt that she couldn't win against her and was about to be reduced to cannon fodder. Ouyang Yen was stunned for a while, then suddenly laughed and said very alertly, "There's no other way. Let's not talk about him. Let's talk about your father. Do you want me to help you?" Ouyang Yan's voice was light. "Is that so?" Yun Hongwei was forced to confess last night. "Do you want to go and see him today? His whole body is injured and there's blood everywhere. The most serious injuries are on his back and abdomen, and there are large gashes. He's really a man. I don't know how many more days this man, who's almost 50 years old, can struggle." Just like that, Er listened to a woman describe her father's sufferings in an extremely contemptuous manner. She felt like she was being split open, as if someone had used a rusty blunt sword to stab her from the forehead. Her entire body was being cut open slowly, like a seesaw. It was so painful that she wanted someone to give her a quick death. It would be better than struggling like this. She finally shouted at Ouyang Yen, "Ouyang Yen! You stinky woman who won't die a good death. The one who won't die a good death now isn't me. Yun Yi, you're just..." Yi Er hung up the phone and slammed onto the bed. Then he weakly collapsed onto the bed. No wonder immortals couldn't fall in love. The general idea was that it would affect their cultivation. Immortals were so powerful that they could torment mortals in any way they wanted. They were emotionless and had no desires, so their magic power was boundless. Look at her. She wanted to save her father, but she couldn't harden her heart to force Jiang Zhao into a corner and make him give in. She was forced into a dead end. She didn't want to give Jiang Zhao to her love rival, but she didn't have the ability to ignore her love rival's threat. Jiang Zhao asked her to wait, but Ouyang Yen said that he could arrange for her to meet him today. Yi Er tugged at her hair, tugged hard, and then slapped herself. Today was Friday. She was going to pick up her brother, but she felt like she was going to die. She couldn't get out of bed and didn't even have the strength to get up. 10 kfm. She needs to get out of bed and pick up her phone to call Jingling or someone else to pick up Sijia. She got out of bed and thought of something. If the mayor's secretary knew that the mayor's wife was not feeling well, would he tell the mayor about it? She called Lu Cheng. "Lu Cheng, can you help me pick up Sijia in the afternoon? Zheng Ling should be very busy at the studio. It should be easier for you to slip away." When Lu Cheng picked up the phone, he was standing in front of Jiang Zhao and told Jiang Zhao that it was Yi Er. He looked at Jiang Zhao and laughed. "Are you asking my boss to deduct my salary? I'm not feeling well. I'm worried that I have low blood sugar. I feel dizzy when I get out of bed. I want to go to the hospital, but I'm afraid I can't pick up Sijia in time." As soon as Yi Er finished speaking, Lu Cheng's phone was taken away by Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao's expression was not good. He was about to say something, but when he saw Lu Cheng beside him, he swallowed his words and said coldly, "Stay at home and don't go anywhere." Jiang Zhao sped all the way to Yi Er's neighborhood. Since when did this woman have low blood sugar? She even feels dizzy and needs to be hospitalized? The first time Jiang Zhao moved in, he had taken the spare keys from Yi Er's drawer. When he entered the bedroom, he saw Yi Er curled up on the bed. Her hair was messy, and her face was pale. He was so angry that he wanted to give her a tight slap. But when he wanted to slap her, he kneeled on the bed and carried her in his arms. "You didn't eat?" Yi Er's lips were dry and cracked. She snuggled into his arms and said weakly, I'm so dizzy that I don't have the strength to get out of bed. When she smelled Jiang Zhao's scent, it was as if she had eaten mustard. Her eyes were about to open. She hugged his waist and tugged at his clothes. Ah Zhao, I miss my father. I miss my father. I dreamed that he was having a hard time. Jiang Zhao felt his heart soften again. He couldn't harden his heart after being tortured by this woman. I'm thinking of a way. Don't worry. He knew that this was a bit far-fetched. He felt like a jerk to tell a woman who had been running around for her father for almost 2 years not to worry. But in her current state, if she saw her father being tortured, would she break down? Ah Zhao, let's have dinner with Si Jie tonight. Yi Er hugged Jiang Zhao tighter. She thought about Ouyang Yan's words and sometimes even gritted her teeth. We're engaged. He's still in school. He won't make it in time, I know. I'll go pick him up later, okay? Okay. Yi Er paused and added, let's go together. I might have fainted from hunger. Lie down for a while. I'll go downstairs to pack a wonton for you. Eat something and I'll take you to the hospital. We can't drag it out if you're not feeling well. Yi Er hugged Jiang Zhao and refused to let go. She bit the man's shirt and sobbed, Ah Zhao, I'm sorry for last night. I missed my father. I didn't mean to provoke you. Don't be angry with me, okay? Jiang Zhao took a deep breath. He hugged Yi Er's head and pressed it against his chest. Actually, it was good. They still had her father. They could be connected like this. At least she would continue acting with him for her father's sake. Last night, he had been thinking about why she didn't call to ask about it. Or why she didn't catch the traitor like other women and have a big fight like a shrew. That way, she could at least prove that she cared about him even a little bit. She didn't greet him even when the sun rose. Lu Qing said that Yun Hongwei was injured. He was afraid that she would be upset. Looking at her now, he was even more certain that he couldn't let her know. He would tell her after he was released for medical treatment and his injuries were better. She wasn't feeling well and had asked Lu Qing to pick her brother up. She didn't tell him that her role was to help her father. Forget it. He couldn't be bothered. Who asked him to rush over as soon as he heard that she was suffering from low blood sugar and couldn't get out of bed. She was his nemesis. She had jinxed him to death. Welfare Hongcha 866. Chapter 497. He decided to put Yi Er on his lap so that her head could rest on his shoulder. He took 2 pieces of tissue from the bedside table to wipe her tears and patted her back to comfort her. Okay, be good. Don't cry anymore. You're crying so hard. Do you have a faucet in your eyes? Let's take Si Jie out to buy some presents tonight. Our wedding is such a big event and we didn't get him anything. He should have gotten us something. Don't get it wrong. You're so naughty. You're so calculative with your own brother. Ah Zhao, why don't you sleep here tonight? You're my husband now and my brother is home. You can sleep here too. Jiang Zhao kissed Yi Er on the cheek and said, of course. When they picked up Si Jie, Yi Er tried to drag him into the car, but Si Jie refused. He looked at Jiang Zhao with hostility in his eyes. Jiang Zhao was very patient, but just as he was about to introduce himself, Si Jie greeted him, hello, uncle. Jiang Zhao was stunned, but Yi Er burst out laughing. Ha! Si Jie rolled his eyes at Yi Er. What are you laughing at? Look at you. All you know how to do is laugh like a fool. Yi Er patted Si Jie's head. I'm laughing at how cute you are. Si Jie slapped Yi Er's hand away. How many times have I told you that you can't touch a man's head or a woman's waist? If you touch my head again, I won't let you off. Also, I'm a man. You're so shallow to use words like cute to describe a man. What? What? You're saying I'm shallow? Yi Er looked at Jiang Zhao and then at Si Jie. He was furious. Jiang Zhao had just called him shallow, and now Si Jie was calling him shallow. You don't understand? I'm saying you're shallow. It's scary how uncultured you are. Si Jie glanced at Yi Er, opened the car door and got in. After they got into the car, Si Jie ignored Jiang Zhao and talked to Yi Er like an adult. Last time, when you told me about transferring schools, it had something to do with this uncle, right? Yun Yi, I don't agree with you hooking up with a rich man. Yun Si Jie, this is my husband. We've registered our marriage, so you have to call him brother-in-law in the future. Yi-er was a little angry, so she raised her voice a little. She usually didn't care about Si-jie's impudence. She only thought that this boy was a little black-bellied, but at this time, if he continued to speak like this, she felt that he would hurt Jiang Zhao. Stop. Si-jie slapped the back of Jiang Zhao's seat. Jiang Zhao slammed on the brakes, followed by a series of honks from behind the car. Si-jie opened the car door and got out. Yi-er quickly chased after him. Jiang Zhao stopped the car by the side and also chased after him. Yi-er caught up with Si-jie and hugged him tightly. Si-jie struggled to hit Yi-er, but he only hit his shoulder and not his face. He cried loudly, "How can you be like this? Yun-yi, you don't treat me as your brother at all. Marriage is such a big thing, and you're only telling me now. Haven't you heard of the parents' orders and the matchmaker's words? I'm a man of the Yun family, but you're already married. You're only telling me now that you want to run away with another man. You want to abandon your brother, Yun-yi. You're not a thing. Si-jie, I'm not abandoning you. We'll still be together in the future. Your brother-in-law bought the house that we live in together. In the future, our family will still live together. We'll move there very soon. Si-jie, you're my brother. I can never abandon you. If you say that I want to abandon you again, I'll feel terrible. I'll feel heartache." Jiang Zhao watched as Yi-er hugged her brother and comforted him with reddened eyes. He stopped where he was and then turned to leave. He returned to the car. He knew that he couldn't do anything to this woman. She had a heart. She would feel terrible and her heart would ache, but that was only for her family. Si-jie was almost 10 years old. He was a handsome little boy. His school uniform for this season was a checkered shirt. He looked 100% like a little gentleman in it. However, at this moment, he was clinging onto Yi-er like a little rascal, asking for a hug. Yi-er carried Si-jie back into Jiang Zhao's car. Si-jie had always thought of himself as an adult. Jiang Zhao saw through him and left Yi-er to talk about men's topics with Si-jie. Later, before they even reached the restaurant, the two men, one big and one small, had already started to attack Yi-er together. Yes, she's timid. She's been like this since she was young. She's even afraid of snakes. She's actually afraid of those non-poisonous snakes that have their fangs pulled out. She's such a good-for-nothing. Once, I put my pet snake under her blanket. She was so scared that she laid out a cushion on the floor and slept for a month. She even sprinkled yellow wine and lime around the cushion. Jiang Zhao listened with great interest. From time to time, he would laugh out loud. Jiang Zhao hoped that he could bring Si-jie back to the Qin family for a meal tomorrow. Before the Jiang family left, everyone could meet up. Si-jie agreed because he thought that Jiang Zhao was very smart. After the meal, they went to the gaming center. Jiang Zhao actually knew how to play all kinds of video games. He was 10,000 times smarter than Yi-er. Although he acknowledged Jiang Zhao as his brother-in-law, it did not mean that he was willing to share his bed with Jiang Zhao. After taking a shower, Si-jie hung onto Yi-er domineeringly and refused to get down. He even said to Jiang Zhao generously, "Brother-in-law, don't leave today. I'll let you sleep in my room." Jiang Zhao looked at Yi-er bitterly. Yi-er thought to herself that children were very pure. How could they understand adult matters? Hence, she could only tell Jiang Zhao with her eyes, "Sorry." In the middle of the night, Jiang Zhao snuck into Yi-er's room again. He wanted to wake her up and move her to that room. However, before he could kiss her twice, the bedside lamp was turned on. Si-jie rubbed his eyes. Then he narrowed his eyes and looked at Jiang Zhao. He said vaguely, "Brother-in-law, are you sleepwalking?" Jiang Zhao was completely speechless. Did he have to be so unlucky today? This brother-in-law of his had been playing dirty with him from the beginning to the end, right? If he was already like this now, what would happen when they moved in together in the future? If he slept with his own wife like a thief, would there still be any justice left? When Yi-er woke up, she found that Jiang Zhao had already fallen asleep on her pillow and was confronting Si-jie. Although they didn't speak, Jiang Zhao refused to get out of bed. The bed wasn't very big. It was 1.5 meters. She and Jiang Zhao were both tall. At this time, The space on the bed seemed abnormally cramped. Jiang Zhao didn't get out of bed. He confidently said to Si Jie, "Your quilt is too short. My feet are hanging out." Si Jie pulled off the quilt covering himself and Yi Er and gave it to Jiang Zhao. "You take this to cover yourself. Sister and I will cover that bed." Yi Er looked at Jiang Zhao's dissatisfied expression. She sat up, wrapped the quilt in her arms, and got out of bed. "Yun Si Jie, I'll go get your quilt now. Your brother-in-law and I will sleep in that room." Jiang Zhao hurriedly got out of bed and smiled at Si Jie. "Si Jie, good night." Si Jie punched the bed. "You're not allowed." Yi Er also said domineeringly, "Yun Si Jie, did Dad and Mom sleep in the same room in the past?" Si Jie didn't say a word. Because they are husband and wife. They are married, so they have to sleep in the same room. Now that your brother-in-law and I are husband and wife, we have to sleep in the same room. "But I'm your younger brother. You used to sleep with me." After Si Jie finished speaking, he glared fiercely at Jiang Zhao. Jiang Zhao was wronged. Your sister was giving you a political lesson. It had nothing to do with your brother-in-law. But he didn't say anything. In any case, he wouldn't be the bad guy. He didn't want his brother-in-law to call him uncle in front of outsiders. "Last time, before I got married, I already told you that you have to be independent when you grow up. You can't always be so wishy-washy." "Who's being wishy-washy?" "You." "I've asked. Other boys sleep in separate rooms and beds from adults at the age of 6. Only you can't stop drinking milk. You're like a child and you always talk like an adult. You're just a child. You don't even dare to sleep alone. In the future, even if you want to sleep with me, I won't sleep with you." Si Jie jumped off the bed and ran to his room with a bang. Seeing that Si Jie had left, Jiang Zhao immediately pressed Yi Er onto the bed. However, Yi Er pushed Jiang Zhao away and went to Si Jie's room. She was still a little worried, so she opened Si Jie's door and deliberately softened her heart. "Si Jie, I'm sorry. Sister spoke too harshly just now. You should sleep with me. When I was young, I was also afraid of toothless snakes. Although I'm not afraid now that I've grown up, you're still a child after all." "Who's afraid? Who's afraid? You're spouting nonsense. Yun Yi, if you don't go back to your room, I'm going to chase you away with a stick." "Don't be so fierce. You make it sound like you're more powerful than Iron Man. Don't you know how to be gentler to women?" Although Si Jie was also scheming, he couldn't bring himself to let his sister think that he was a wishy-washy, timid, and scared. These words had nothing to do with him. He was an indomitable man. Hence, he rolled his eyes at Yi Er. He covered his head and went to sleep. Yi Er was finally relieved. When she returned to her room, Jiang Zhao hugged her and kissed her fiercely. "Punny." He bit the woman's neck and pulled off her pajamas. "Be gentler." Yi Er slapped the man's chest. This man's bite hurt her neck. Jiang Zhao was finally going to have sex. He was feeling proud and didn't know the severity of the situation. He couldn't wait to put himself in her. "You should be the one who should be gentler." It wasn't until Jiang Zhao squeezed in that Yi Er understood what he meant. In the end, she could only kiss him to muffle her voice. The blanket covered their bodies. The two of them were sweaty from all the tossing. When they woke up the next morning, Jiang Zhao was still hugging Yi Er in his arms. It was Sunday and he wanted to hug his wife to sleep in. It wasn't a bad idea. He didn't mind whether this house was old or not. He had a bed, a wife, and he could sleep and make love. It was quite good. Because Si Jie was chased to another room to sleep, he naturally thought that Jiang Zhao was the culprit. Hence, he didn't give him a good look. Jiang Zhao thought to himself, "Brother-in-law, why do you hate me? It's your sister who likes her husband too much and wants to sleep with him. I didn't chase you away. I didn't even say a word. Who asked your sister's husband to be tall, handsome, and comfortable?" Yi Er took Si Jie to the amusement park. She saw Jiang Zhao wearing casual clothes and taking a 9-year-old boy everywhere to buy tickets. When they played those games that made people scream, he became even more handsome. After all, Si Jie was a child. Once he played, he was full of energy and wouldn't stop playing. After playing for a whole day, he returned home, took a shower, and fell asleep in a short while. Yi Er covered Si Jie with the blanket and returned to her room. Jiang Zhao was reading the news on his phone. Yi Er sat beside him and waited for him to finish reading. Jiang Zhao knew that Yi Er was here, so he closed the webpage and threw his phone aside. Yi Er took the opportunity to hug Jiang Zhao's neck. "Hubby, what do you think of me?" "Yes. What's good about you?" Attention, Song Shu 566. Chapter 498. Here is good, here is good, here is good. Jiang Zhao giggled as he kissed Yi Er's lips, breasts, and even touched her butt. "Can't you be more serious?" Just as he removed Yi Er's clothes, his phone rang. Seeing that it was Zhuang Yichen, Jiang Zhao cursed in his heart, but he still stopped what he was doing. Zhuang Yichen was not the kind of person who would call him for no reason. If he wanted to have a gathering, he would usually tell him in advance. They did not have any impromptu gatherings. The phone slid open. "Hello." Zhuang Yichen chuckled. "Did I interrupt your good time?" "Yes, I did. Why don't you call again tomorrow?" "It's okay. I'll talk about my business. You can continue." Zhuang Yichen laughed as he spoke. Jiang Zhao was not in the mood to laugh. He turned over and laid down beside Yi Er, but his hand was still on Yi Er's body. "What's the matter? Tell me." Yi Er could not stand Jiang Zhao's touch. She cursed in her heart. They were still talking about business. Why couldn't he just talk about it properly? But whenever she moved, Jiang Zhao's hands would chase after her. "Get off the bed and find a quiet place to close the door. I have something to tell you," Zhuang Yichen said seriously. Jiang Zhao immediately stopped and got off the bed. Then he covered Yi Er with the blanket and gestured for Yi Er to sleep first. Yi Er saw that he looked serious and nodded. Yi Er had always pretended to be deaf and mute about Jiang Zhao's matters. She had never asked about it. Today, she wanted to ask about her father, but she did not know how to start. Yi Er was tormented by this matter. On Monday, Yi Er sent Si Jie to school. Then she and Jiang Zhao sent the Jiang family members away. It could be said that he had completed a major task. In the afternoon, she received another call from Ouyang Yan. "Don't use Jiang Zhao as a condition. Go and see your father. I've arranged the time for you." But when Yi Er arrived, the prisoner refused to visit. Yi Er felt uneasy. Ouyang Yan then led her to the surveillance room. Yi Er stood there in a daze. She shook her head in disbelief. Didn't they say that the surveillance cameras in the prison were always broken? Why did it have to be so clear? Yi Er's body trembled as if she was sifting chaff, while Ouyang Yan, who was by her side, would occasionally add in some emotional commentary. "Sigh, it's really tough. I wonder what will happen next?" Less than a minute after entering the monitoring room, Yi Er ran out. She wanted to leave this place, leave this damned place. The person lying on the monitoring bed was not her father. Although her father was a little old, he would not lie there so weakly. He was still curled up and looked like it was difficult for him to even turn over. She could almost hear that person groaning because of the pain. That person was not her father. Her father's face was not that big. Her father was very handsome. Even if he was old, he was still very handsome. He would not be like that with his facial features messed up. He would not look like a mess with bruises. She could not see clearly. That was not her father. Ouyang Yan caught up with Yi Er. He grabbed her wrist and pushed her against the rough cement wall outside. His voice was still soft. "Miss Yunda, what are you holding on for? I said that I would help you, but you refused. You are really unfilial. Jiang Zhao does not love you at all. Otherwise, with his ability, it would not be a problem to let your father live a peaceful life. What's the meaning of this?" Yi Er knew that her eyes were wet. It was raining heavily. "Ouyang Yan, you are so scheming to get Jiang Zhao, but you want to start with me. Don't you think it's funny?" Ouyang Yan smiled indifferently. "What's so funny? Jiang Zhao has never liked women who are not sensible. He hates women who cause trouble. I will never say anything bad about you in front of him, and I will also not say that you have scolded me. I will often tell him that you are still young and it's okay to be immature occasionally. You will be fine after a few years." Yi Er did not know how the ancient people got along with 3 wives and 4 concubines under the same roof. In any case, she could not take it anymore. She thought that there was no problem at all. She was very strong, but she could not take it anymore. You are really shameless. Ouyang Yen smiled faintly. Compared to you? Compared to you, I am still considered shameless. In front of Jiang Zhao, the more I say good things about you, the more he thinks that I am sensible and magnanimous, and the more he thinks that I am wronged. But you are young and fresh to him. If he wants to play, I will let him play until he is satisfied. When he is tired of playing, he will naturally come back to me. These successful men nowadays, which one of them will be faithful to one woman until the end? In any case, his heart is with me. Yi Er pushed away this woman who she hated so much. Then she took out a tissue from her bag and slowly wiped the tears off her face. As she wiped, she looked at Ouyang Yen provocatively and slowly revealed a smile on her face. She crumpled the tissue in her hand into a ball and threw it at Ouyang Yan's feet. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sun was orange. After crying, Yi Er's eyes were shining with rainbows. I will talk to my husband tonight and ask him to think of a solution. Ouyang Yen decided to take a gamble and said calmly, "Sure, you can ask him and see what he'll say. He'll definitely tell you to wait and tell you that he'll be quick. You don't know, right? He has always been using you. He can use your father to defeat his opponent. When the time comes, he won't care what your father will become or whether he will become a sacrifice." Yi Er knew. She had always known that they were using each other. It was just that she was unlucky to have fallen for him first. She straightened her back and smiled brightly at Ouyang Yen. "Thank you for your reminder. In that case, I still have some value to him." Ouyang Yen did not know that Yi Er was so stubborn. She was so angry that she wanted to stomp a hole through the ground. After leaving the prison, Yi Er went directly to Jiang Zhao's office. It was her first time here, so Yi Er was looking forward to it. For the purpose of this trip, she was also very hesitant. The moment Jiang Zhao saw her, he locked the door and asked, "Why are you here?" Yi Er felt that she could not fall in love with him anymore. She needed to calm down. She needed to calm down 1,000 times. She needed to get rid of the feelings she had when she was with him in the past. She needed to tell herself what she wanted. She threw her bag on the sofa and lifted the hem of her dress. She put one hand around the man's neck and used the momentum to jump. The man took the opportunity to hug her and she wrapped her arms around the man's waist in the most erotic way. "Ah Zhao," Yi called out softly. Jiang Zhao was fascinated by her story, so he lowered his head and kissed her collarbone. "I just came over from the prison." Yi Er said this with a smile. Although her eyes were a little moist, they were still curved, as if she was seducing the man. This kind of soft and delicate tone did not seem to be suitable to talk about this matter. Jiang Zhao's body stiffened. Yi Er let the man hug her butt and pulled his tie. She said softly, "Look at you. You like to sleep with me so much. You have to do something for me. My father was beaten so badly. It's so boring for you to brush me off like this. That day, you told me that if you want to get something, you have to give something. Look at me, I also let you do whatever you want. I'm constantly trying to please you. Even if I don't do anything, I've worked hard. I'm not asking to get my father out. Even if I can't reduce his sentence, I'm fine with less torture. Isn't that right?" Jiang Zhao could not stand Yi Er's tone. "Yun Yi, I'm wrong about this matter. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd feel uncomfortable. Originally, I asked someone to do it." Yi Er reached out to cover Jiang Zhao's mouth. She jumped down from his body and calmly adjusted the hem of her dress. He had bought this dress for her. He had wanted to wear it for his father to see that his daughter had become a little fairy again. She had married a powerful man and there was hope for his matter. Moreover, his daughter liked it. Just like that, wasn't it something worth congratulating? However, a person could not have everything. If she could only choose one, Jiang Zhao, she really could not afford to have him. "Initially, I wanted to wait for you to help me. But Ouyang Yen said she was willing to get involved in this case and not implicate you. I think she was afraid that I would harm you. I went to visit her in prison, but her father did not want to see me." "Jiang Zhao, I am here to tell you that I can't stand this kind of torture. If you can help me, you should give me a clear explanation. If you can't help me, you don't have to patronize me. I will not make things difficult for you. Let's get a divorce and go our separate ways. I will also not stop you from going out with your mistress. The air in Jiang Zhao's chest felt like it was boiling. Large bubbles were tumbling. The air pressure was so great that it almost flipped the lid of his chest open. Divorce? You think you can get married just because you want to? You think you can get a divorce just because you want to? Do you think this is the market? Yi Er laughed. I forgot that Mayor Jiang cares about his reputation. But Jiang Zhao only wanted to kill this woman if it was not against the law. Good that you know. Then tell me, how do you want to settle my father's case? I will get someone to apply for medical parole. What do you think? Thank you, Mayor Jiang. Yi Er smiled brightly as she looked at Jiang Zhao. Like an ancient palace lady, she bowed to Jiang Zhao and then stood up. She walked slowly to Jiang Zhao's desk and touched the smooth surface of the desk with her fingers. She slowly walked around the desk. It was not a high-grade wood, but it was not low-grade either. The office of the government should be careful not to be too eye-catching. Yi Er's voice was soft, but her tone was sharp. Since you are willing to help me, then tell your mistress not to look for me in the future. Both of you can do whatever you want. There's no need for her to treat my matters as your matters. I am sleeping with you, and you are helping me. Both of us are equal. Why does she want to interfere? I am afraid I cannot repay her kindness. After all, I am not capable of sleeping with a woman. Yun Yi, are you done talking? I am done. Since you have listened to me, I will leave first. Yi Er walked out of the building and kept smiling until she got into a taxi. Bam! She closed the door of the taxi and clenched her fists. Her tears kept rolling down her cheeks. Good job, Yunyi. Go back to being the cold-blooded person you used to be. Otherwise, it will be too painful. Jiang Zhao calmly called Lu Qing over. How is the application for medical parole coming along? I am working on it. It should be done within these 2 days. You can leave now. Jiang Zhao called Ouyang Yan. Yun, we need to talk about something. Ouyang Yan was panicking. She thought Yun Yi should have low self-esteem and would not say anything in front of Jiang Zhao. Could it be that Jiang Zhao knew about it? What do you want to talk about? You don't need to get involved in Yun Hongwei's case. Attention, Xinwu 799. Chapter 499. Second brother, I just want to help you. You can't let anything happen to you in your current position. I know. I'll be careful. Also, Yun, I hope you won't look for your sister-in-law again. I'll treat today's matter as you being kind and don't want to pursue the matter. But Yun, I've always done things appropriately. I think you should know very well that I don't need you to remind me of my next step. I have my own plans for when I'll let my wife meet my father-in-law. Yun, sometimes, kindness may not be rewarded. Don't you understand? Ouyang Yan's hand trembled as he held the phone. I understand. Second brother, I didn't mean it. I'm hanging up, Jiang Zhao said coldly and hung up the phone. He let out a long sigh of relief. He felt much more relaxed now that Yun Yi was like this. She should be like this. She could make use of her original appearance. As a man, if he still had feelings for her all day long, he would be too much of a jerk. Divorce? These 2 words came out of her mouth easily. It was impossible for him to get a divorce. He could get a divorce if he wanted, but he had to wait until the day he saw her and the pain in his heart disappeared. Only then could he get a divorce. He hadn't escaped unscathed yet, so she should die with him. She wanted to leave? She wanted to leave him here alone. He, Jiang Zhao, had never been an easy person to get along with. Jiang Zhao acted as if nothing had happened and called Yi Er. I'm going home for dinner tonight. Cook for me. He hung up the phone. Yi Er received the order. Pay cook for him. After dinner, Jiang Zhao deliberately didn't spend the night at Yi Er's house. He had to keep a distance from this woman. She was obviously poisonous. He wouldn't be stupid enough to touch her again. He kept reminding himself that he was a man with strong self-control. It was only a woman, so it was inevitable that he would be moved. At this age, it wasn't the first time he had been moved. Everything would pass. He also told himself that this period of time was just a little tough, but it would be fine after a while. Ye was the same as before. He started his own life and no longer paid attention to Jiang Zhao. Whatever Jiang Zhao wanted to do, whatever he told her to do, she would cooperate. She would act coquettishly and cutely just like before. He tried his best not to change their lives during the process. Jiang Zhao was the same as before their marriage. He treated her coldly from time to time. If he could hurt her, he would never comfort her. If he could take revenge, he would never coax her. Yi wanted to empty herself out, so she arranged a lot of activities for herself and looked for friends. Because she was a little afraid of Zheng Ling's mother, she didn't go to Zheng Ling's place. In the large workshop on the second floor, Qiu Xiaoya stood in front of the workbench. She fixed the three-dimensional cut with a pearl needle and used a pen to draw a line on the fabric. When Xiaoya was working, she was very serious and focused. It was impossible to associate her with the woman who usually spoke without thinking. Yi slapped Xiaoya's shoulder hard. Xiaoya was still holding a colorful pearl needle. When she turned around, she almost stabbed Yi. Are you crazy? Are you a ghost? Or did you die last night and crawl out of the grave to scare me? Hey, is there anyone who curses like you? Look at your pale face. Did you take too many birth control pills? Yi made a sound. Qiu Xiaoya, can you not be like this? Can't your words match your appearance? Qiu Xiaoya said, Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong. But you shouldn't take birth control pills. It affects your skin and your endocrine system. Yi touched his face. He kind of believed Xiaoya's words. Don't tell me you don't want to take them? Xiaoya took off the wrist pillow on her wrist and inserted some unused pearl needles into it. Finally, she threw the needles into the tool tray. She picked up the glass of water on the table and took a big gulp. I'll take them. What if I get pregnant if I don't take them? What if the man doesn't want them after giving birth? Then why is your skin so good? Is my skin really that yellow? You don't look too good recently. I recommend a birth control pill for you. My friend in the hospital has it. All the female doctors and nurses in the hospital take this. Wait a minute, I'll get it for you. Yi was speechless. Qiu Xiaoya, can you not be so bold? You actually brought birth control pills to the office. Are you ready to do bad things at any time? This is for after the event. Anyway, I have to come to work after the event. It's convenient to leave it in the office. I have a bottle at home too, in case I forget. As Xiaoya said this, she had already passed the bottle to Yi. Then she turned around to take a disposable cup and prepared to pour Yi some water. Yi looked at the bottle. You gave it to me. What about you? I can get it from my friend anytime. It's very convenient. Besides, I have some at home. Qiu Xiaoya put the cup to the water dispenser and asked, Do you want to drink hot, cold, or warm? Yi looked at the man beside him. He crossed his arms and looked coldly at Xiaoya, who was pouring water for him. He didn't dare to say anything. If Jiang Zhao wasn't around, who would subdue this stinky man? I'm asking you. Xiaoya said loudly in dissatisfaction. Then she turned around and saw Zhuang Yichen standing there calmly. He pretended not to see him and said to Yi, I'm asking you what kind of water temperature is suitable. Zhuang Yichen looked at Yi and pursed his lips into a smile. I think Mrs. Jiang doesn't like the water here and wants to go home to drink her own water. Yi held the birth control pills and nodded at Xiaoya. Okay, I'm not used to drinking them. I'll go back first. Hey, you need to... Yi couldn't care less. Even Jiang Zhao said that they were a couple. What was she standing there for? The man's shiny leather shoes walked back and forth on the wooden floor. The sound of footsteps slowly traveled into Xiaoya's ears. Zhuang Yichen was just looking around casually. Then he stood in front of Xiaoya. She poured a glass of warm water for him. President Zhuang, are you here to make clothes? Zhuang Yichen didn't take the water. Xiaoya rolled her eyes at him and placed the glass on the office table. Your measurements are here. What style do you need? I'll send it to you when it's done. I've lost weight recently. I'll take the measurements again. Xiaoya scolded in her heart, You're asking for it. She took a soft tape measure and measured the width of the back, the length of the shirt, the length of the sleeves, the length of the sleeves and the collar. Then she wrapped the tape measure around the man's neck and stuck a finger in. The man's Adam's apple bobbed a few times when her finger slid in. Xiaoya wasn't as tall as Yi Er. Standing on her tiptoes in front of Zhuang Yichen, she felt uncomfortable. She would change into flat shoes the moment she arrived at work. The difference in height was huge. President Zhuang, wait, I'll go put on my high heels. However, the man grabbed her waist and teased, why are you wearing high heels? To make it easier for you to kiss me? Xiaoya didn't resist. President Zhuang, you really know how to joke. How many men do I have to kiss in a day like this? Miss Chiu always keeps the morning after pill in her office. She's really meticulous. Zhuang Yichen pursed his lips. He pinched Xiaoya's waist and lifted her up, allowing her to lean against him. Of course. Women have to learn to protect themselves. Other than young Master Kong, who else does Miss Chiu prepare the morning after pill for? It's none of your business. It's none of your business. Zhuang Yichen took 2 steps forward and pressed Xiaoya against the workbench that was filled with fabrics. He grabbed her chin and said in a deep voice, don't think that I'll let you do whatever you want. Xiaoya tried to pry Zhuang Yichen's hand away. Her chin hurt unbearably. I have nothing to do with you anymore. I'm free to live my life however I want. Oh, freedom is easy to write, but it's not easy to achieve. Let go of me. Zhuang Yichen slid his hand under Xiaoya's skirt. The morning after pill is always kept in the office. I want to see if your skin will get better after you take it. Get lost. Zhuang Yichen bit Xiaoya's ear and panted heavily. Little Demon Chiu, do you want to call Kong Yun and ask him to come over? I want to know if his eyes will still be filled with honey when he looks at you. Xiaoya was shocked out of her wits. She didn't know what he was talking about. What nonsense are you talking about? Are you crazy? Protect him? Hey, you pervert. I already said that it has nothing to do with you. Get out of here. I'll get out when I'm done. I'm not interested in satisfying you. Bastard. Yi Er saw that it was almost time to get off work. She still had to go home and cook for Jiang Zhao. She had to serve him well. Professionalism was a must. The dishes on the table that night were all Jiang Zhao's favorites. They were light and there weren't many meat dishes. While Jiang Zhao was eating, he said to Yi Er, you're on parole for medical treatment. It'll be approved the day after tomorrow. However, they won't state the real cause of your injury. The application documents state that you fell down the stairs while you were working. Yi Er's hand that was holding her chopsticks trembled. It's good that you're out now. We'll talk about the rest later. She looked at Jiang Zhao, who was eating with his head lowered. She smiled and said sweetly, thank you, hubby. You're welcome. Like you said, we don't owe you anything. Yi Er nodded. The next night, they went back to the Qin family for dinner. Unwu brought his girlfriend over for dinner. The girl's name was Anu, and had been sitting beside Unwu the whole time. She looked very quiet and matched well with Unwu. She would blush if they talked too much. Unwu, I brought my girlfriend over today. Grandpa Qin has to give your daughter a big red packet. Qin Rongfang asked Uncle Wu to prepare it as he spoke. Unwu appeared very generous. He patted the girl's hand. Hurry up and thank Grandpa Qin. The girl blushed slightly and nodded. Thank you, Grandpa Qin. Qin Fian said, Grandpa is really biased. I've never heard of him giving me a big red packet or anything like that. Your red packet? After the artificial insemination is successful, I'll give a very, very big red packet to the girl who gets pregnant for you. Then couldn't take such a huge blow and her face turned red. Qin Fian looked at him. Don't be like this. I'm gay. Everyone in Haiqing knows that. Did you just come to Haiqing? You're so surprised by such a small piece of news. Then said, I grew up with Unwu in Japan. Yunwu's gaze shifted slightly from time to time and landed on the girl he liked sitting opposite him. Yi Er ate his food and was occasionally amused by Jiang Zhao. He looked away. He really didn't want to see such a scene. After dinner, Yi Er found Unwu in the garden. Yunwu's eyes were still as clear as a spring. He smiled warmly. Good. Ha, I didn't disturb you, did I? Unwu looked at An, who was standing beside him, and shook his head. Of course not. Unwoo, I was wondering when you'd like to take the painting back. Yi felt that it wasn't good to leave his nude painting with others. Moreover, when he drew it, he wanted to keep it as a memento. What kind of memento would it be if he didn't take it back? Come and take a look. Shinwoo 799. Chapter 500. Sure, give me your phone number. I'll send it to you another day. Unwoo was about to take out his phone to write down the number when he saw Jiang Zhao walking over. He pulled in over and said to Yi and isn't familiar with Haicheng. Why don't you go shopping together often? And can also buy some things she likes. I don't want to go shopping with a girl. And seemed very interested too. Sure. I was just about to go. Unwoo said that it's better to read than to go shopping. Who knows how fun shopping is? Isn't that right, sister-in-law? Jiang Zhao walked over to Yi and patted Yi shoulder. You guys have company now. It's good to go out and have fun often. Unwoo looked at Jiang Zhao and said helplessly, girls like to do that kind of thing. When it comes to shopping, they're more excited than anything else. I feel like we're going to the execution ground. Jiang Zhao laughed and said, there's a difference between men and women. Jiang Zhao received a call from Zhuang Yichen. He said concisely, I'll wait for you at Zhaojun. I'll tell you in person. Yi asked, what's the matter? Jiang Zhao lifted his wrist and reached out to pull up his sleeves. He looked at the time and said, I'll get Uncle Wu to send you back later. I have something urgent to attend to, so I'll leave first. Unwoo stopped Jiang Zhao. There's no need to trouble Uncle Wu. I'll send sister-in-law off on my way back later. Thank you, Unwoo. You're too polite. After Jiang Zhao left, Unwoo suggested that he visit another day. Yi hitched a ride. She and sat in the back while Unwoo sat in the front passenger seat. Yi felt that Anan was not very gentle. When she smiled, she could also be very happy. Unwoo looked at Yi from the rearview mirror and could not help but be moved. She turned around and said to Anan, Yi-er's nose is a little dirty. Help her wipe it. An glanced at Unwoo and took out a neatly folded handkerchief from her bag. Sister-in-law, come, I'll wipe the dirt off the tip of your nose for you. Yi reached out and touched it. Am I that careless? Do it yourself. It's fine. Anan insisted on helping Yi. Yi wondered what was on the tip of his nose that and needed to wipe it for so long. The handkerchief smelled really good. He couldn't help but want to smell it a few more times. He shook his head and felt a little dizzy. She was getting dizzier and dizzier. She looked at Unwoo, who had turned around to look at her. Yunwoo's face was filled with circles. It was as if a stone had been thrown into a pond. The circles kept spreading outwards. Jiang Zhao rushed over to Peerless Beauty. He guessed that something important must have happened. He directly pressed the elevator button from the underground garage and went up to Zhaojun. When he stepped out of the elevator, he saw Zhuang Yichen shaking the dice alone. Zhaojun was different from other private rooms. There was no strange smell. There was no need to use air fresheners to cover up the smell of cigarettes, alcohol, or vomit. The lights were also brighter. Jiang Zhao sat down. Zhuang Yichen sat up straight. You asked me to investigate the Lei family that disappeared 12 years ago. Jiang Zhao listened carefully. At that time, only 2 people survived. One was Lei Zhentian, and the other was his 8-year-old grandson. Jiang Zhao glanced at Zhuang Yichen and motioned for him to continue. Zhuang Yichen continued, you don't know this, but his grandson killed 13 people when he was just 8 years old. What's even more unbelievable is that this 8-year-old boy's marksmanship was extremely accurate. Later on, the boy was shot and his heart was damaged. Lei Zhentian didn't hesitate to spend a large sum of money to replace his heart. Since then, there hasn't been any news about the Lei family. That's all I can find out. Jiang Zhao was shocked. You're saying that the 8-year-old boy killed 13 people with a gun? Yes. Jiang Zhao thought about Unwoo. He thought about his pair of eyes and the way he usually spoke. His skin was so soft and tender. Even after he was praised by Yi, he specially checked his hands. There were no calluses at all. A boy who was as pure as a puddle of water killed 13 people when he was just 8 years old? He couldn't believe it. Is there a mistake? Zhuang Yichen shook his head. After investigating for so long, I didn't want to make a mistake. But after that, just like you said, they disappeared into thin air. But at that time, the Lei family was jointly exterminated by 2 Japanese families. These 2 families had been declining since 8 years ago, and they didn't have any enemies to take revenge on. I just feel that it's a little strange. The important direct shareholders of these 2 families were all ruined. Basically, they were secretly hiding large amounts of heroin. Moreover, they were all forced to investigate in China. You have to know that there is a death penalty in China. If this has something to do with the Lei family, then I can only say that the Lei family is too tolerant. Jiang Zhao's brows were furrowed the whole time. He looked at Zhuang Yichen and said seriously, Yichen, what do you think a person who seems to have no desires and is pure of heart and few desires means? Zhuang Yichen thought for a while. First, he really is pure of heart and few desires. Nothing can arouse his interest. Second, he is too shrewd and knows how to hide too well. Moreover, he hides so well that no one can see that he has desires. Jiang Zhao only felt abnormally vexed. A flash of inspiration flashed through his mind as he recalled that day at the birthday banquet, when Grace had eagerly extended her hand to him. His right eye twitched violently. He stood up and took out his phone to call the Qin residence. Uncle Wu, where's you? Young Master Unwu said that he would send young Mistress Sun back. He left a long time ago. Jiang Zhao called Yi Er's cell phone again, but no one answered. After hanging up, he said to Zhuang Yichen, I'm leaving first. He quickly went to press the elevator button. Yi Er's breathing was shallow. The car was still moving slowly on the road. Anan was already sitting in the front passenger seat, while Unwu sat in the back. The partition in the middle was pulled up, and the back seat became a private space. Yi Er's head rested on Yunwu's lap, and the boy's soft fingers slowly stroked her face. Unwu had never been so close to Yi Er before. He couldn't help but lay her down flat and bend her slender legs. When he bent her legs, her skirt slid from her knees to her thighs, revealing her sexy underwear. He watched as her eyes were closed, and the 2 small brushes on her eyes didn't move. He planted a kiss on her eyes. As if he couldn't help it, he kissed her forehead, the tip of her nose, and her cherry lips. He squatted in front of her and looked at her sleeping face. He looked at her lips that were still stained with his saliva and shone with an alluring luster. He stretched out his fingers and pressed them gently. They were very soft. He wondered what her mouth tasted like. He really wanted to know. Hence, he stuck his tongue into her mouth and tasted it. Men were naturally familiar with everything related to sex. Even though he had never kissed anyone before, he quickly went from being unfamiliar with it to taking a deep breath. He wouldn't let her lips escape from his mouth again. This was empty space. The car drove steadily, but he felt more and more uneven. Her chest was rising and falling, and her long and fair legs were exposed. He put his hand under her neck and held the back of her head. He kissed her again, and when he let go, his forehead was covered in sweat. His voice was slightly trembling, but it was still cold. Go to Hyatt. The driver in front of the partition said mechanically, Yes, young master. Jiang Zhao was still calling Yi Er's phone. He didn't know Yunwu's phone number, and calling the Shi family at this time to ask would be making a mountain out of a molehill. Jiang Zhao's feet were on the brakes. He didn't know why, but he was inexplicably nervous. It was as if he was walking into a dark forest and a monster would jump out at any time. It made him nervous. The car drove to Yi Er's neighborhood. He pulled out the car key, got out, slammed the door and looked up. There was no light on the 6th floor. His legs were very long and he could climb 3 stairs in one big step. He ran up to the 6th floor in a few steps. He knocked on the door. He took out the key and turned the lock. He turned on the lights and shouted, Yunyi, Yunyi. No one answered him. He immediately closed the door and jumped down the stairs. The car key was still in his hand. He pressed the sensor, and the lights flashed twice. He opened the door, got in, and started driving. In the middle of this, he kept calling Yi Er. Yi would never ignore his calls. Every time it rang 2 or 3 times, she would pick up because his ringtone was different. He drove directly to the Shi family's house. He got out of the car calmly and said that he was passing by the Shi family's house on the way to the office building. He asked casually, "Unwoo isn't back yet?" The helper said, "Young master isn't back yet." Jiang Zhao looked at Shi Jintian. "That's true. I've troubled Unwoo today. I went to the building just now, and Unwoo sent Yi to her house for me. He might be a little late." Shi Jintian frowned. What if Unwoo sent Yi? He didn't dare to think about it. Jiang Zhao glanced at Shi Jintian's expression. Even if it was just for a second, it didn't escape his eyes. He said politely to Shi Jintian, "Grandpa Shi, I'll take my leave first. Yi might be home already." Zhao Zhao, come over another day. Grandpa Shi, you should arrange a meal too. Jiang Zhao wasn't in the mood to talk about a meal. The moment he stepped out of the Shi family's garden, he called Zhua Hao. "Haozi, is it convenient to check your location?" Unwoo carried Yi into the hotel's luxurious suite, then closed the door behind them. Her movements were a little mechanical and expressionless. After laying Yi flat on the bed, Unwoo heaved a sigh of relief and laid down beside her, and looked at the 2 people on the bed and said expressionlessly, "Little master, I'll go to the living room outside." Unwoo grunted. The boy lying beside Yi stretched out his hand and passed it through her palm along the soft white blanket. Then, their fingers intertwined and held tightly. It was said that the 10 fingers were connected to the heart. If she was awake, would she let him hold her hand like this? He wasn't sure. He always saw her smile at Jiang Zhao. He always saw them being intimate. He didn't have the confidence. He was jealous and couldn't bear it. He tossed and turned in bed every night. In the middle of the night, he would wake up and read some nonsense like, "The best is like water." He had enough of that life that was like plain water. That feeling of being moved was wonderful, but if he couldn't get it, his heart would be like this. It hurt so much. He wanted to hide her, but how? He told Grandpa that he wanted to go overseas, but Grandpa saw through his thoughts. He could leave, but he wasn't allowed to stay in High City. In his eyes, Shi and Jiang Zhao looked so incompatible. How old was Jiang Zhao? He was already 30, right? She was only 19. All right, even if Jiang Zhao was 29, he was still 10 years older than her. They weren't compatible. Shi and Shi Unwoo were compatible. She was 19, and he was 20. They were the most compatible. Why didn't she tell him about her predicament earlier? Why didn't he tell her earlier? Why didn't he let her know that he actually had a strong background and that he could help her? She didn't have to betray herself and marry an old man. After knowing that she forced Jiang Zhao to marry her, the Qin and Jiang families were so reluctant. Why didn't she force him? Grandpa definitely wouldn't object. Grandpa would definitely like the girl he liked. Unwoo turned around and pulled Yi into his arms again. She was so soft that she didn't have any strength left. She let him hug her. Looking at her lips, he kissed her again. Awesome novel, Shinwoo 799. Chapter 501. As he kissed her, he wanted to bite her. His breathing was so rapid that his heart was about to jump out of his chest. Even though she didn't react at all and only breathed, he still felt like he was being seduced. He reached out and slowly pulled up her clothes. A pair of eyes that were as clear as water began to mist, and a hazy smoke rose from them. The tip of her nose was gently rubbing against it. It was so ticklish that even his cells started to itch. Jiang Zhao had been waiting for Zhua Hao's call. Taking advantage of this time, he called Zhuang Yichen. As soon as the call connected, he started cursing, "King psychopath. Why can't you talk about that over the phone? Why must I go to your place? When did King become such a troublemaker?" Zhuang Yichen was stunned by his scolding. Jiang Zhao wasn't a good person, but he wouldn't act vulgar in public. He had never scolded him like that before. Even if he scolded others, he didn't use a real scolding tone. At most, his tone was cursing in a low voice. Thinking back to when he left Zhaojun, he called to ask about Yun Ye's whereabouts. Feeling that the situation was a little serious, he frowned and asked, Hey, did you lose the woman? Zhuang Yichen, it's good that you're fine. If something happens, I'll King kill you. Zhuang Yichen knew that Jiang Zhao wasn't calm at this time, so he didn't argue with him. He stood up with the phone in his hand. Do you need me to do anything? At this moment, Jiang Zhao's phone rang. He gritted his teeth and said, I'm hanging up. Zhuang Yichen, just you wait. Zhuhao called. Jiang Zhao picked it up. How is it? Brother, the car's location isn't easy to check. This kind of car isn't afraid of being stolen. The owner seems to be against location tracking. This kind of system has been modified, but the number you gave me wasn't turned off. Her SIM card's location is at Grand Hyatt Hotel. Jiang Zhao's hands clenched the steering wheel. The two of them didn't go anywhere. They went to the hotel and didn't pick up the phone either. His hairline started to sweat. He raised the back of his hand and wiped the tip of his nose. It was already sweating. Howsy, get a car full of people from the army to Grand Hyatt. Don't let even a fly go. Now, right now. Jiang Zhao felt that his voice must have sounded like a roar. He couldn't calm down. His wife didn't pick up her phone, but she went to the hotel. The Shi family was indeed a big tree. If Shi and Yo really had feelings for her, what was she up to? He didn't want to believe that she would do such a thing, but the person he didn't believe now was Shi Unyu. This boy could kill 13 people when his family was destroyed. This boy's hands were stained with so much blood at the age of 8, but he could still clean the filth in his eyes. What a terrifying person he was. Just like Zhuang Yichen said, unless he was so cunning that everyone thought he had no conscience. Brother, what happened? Zhuhao asked nervously after hearing Jiang Zhao's vicious tone. What happened? If it happened, tell Grand Hyatt to get out of Sea City. Yes, and the Shi family. Zhuhao didn't ask for more details. If it's serious, is a car full of people enough? If you think it's not enough, then get 3 to 5 cars. In any case, block all the roads. Jiang Zhao started the car and added, don't mention a word to grandfather. Okay, don't worry. If I can't even do something like this, what kind of brother are we? Jiang Zhao hung up the phone, stepped on the accelerator, turned the steering wheel, and made a U-turn in one smooth motion. The tires screeched sharply on the ground, leaving black tire marks. He almost didn't step on the brakes as he rushed in the other direction of the main road. Jiang Zhao's car made a big turn and changed lanes. Other than the traffic lights, there wasn't much traffic at night. However, people's hearts were very congested. His mind was filled with all kinds of things that happened with her. When they met again, he asked her about the blood stains on the bed and she denied it. He knew that it was her first time and he was drugged. He was also clear about his mental state at the time. It wasn't like he was drugged, so he should have been able to tell the difference between a woman's reaction under his body. But she didn't admit it. He was angry because she didn't admit it. Her refusal to admit it meant that she didn't mind at all. Now, he still remembered her expression. She really didn't mind at all. That expression was like she was bitten by a cat or a dog. He was so angry that he wanted to drown her with alcohol. Later, when they were together, she was no different from the first time. He teased her that the quality of 300,000 yuan a night was too bad, but she still followed him and didn't explain. When he ked her, it was very smooth, but she was still so painful. Obviously, no man had touched her before. She just moaned and stiffened for a long time before she recovered. Sometimes he felt that she was a mutant of women. How could a woman not care about her first time? The car was driving very fast. He felt that he was as crazy as he was when he just got his driver's license. He would race with his friends to see who could race faster. He would put his younger brother together to play with him. If he was scolded by his younger brother, it would be much lighter. He had been so insidious since he was a child. The people he met were also insidious. When he was a child, it was his elder brother, Jiang Ru. They played tricks on each other and often made trouble for each other. Later, it was his business rival. He didn't care too much about it. Life was just a matter of playing tricks on each other. Otherwise, it would be boring. But now, he had been so patient because of this woman. She didn't let him worry less. She couldn't even rest for a day. Whenever she was free, she would make trouble for him. The car was driving so fast. He felt that he was old because he hadn't driven so fast for many years. The car was so fast that everything flying by outside the window became a line with a light tail. She was still so young, 19 years old. Shi Unwoo, 20 years old. He held the steering wheel tightly, and even his chin was tightly pressed together. When his elder brother and sister-in-law were together, he even patted Jiang Rui's shoulder and said, "Brother, you're an old cow eating young grass." Jiang Rui even kicked him. He added, "But you're still strong despite your age." He was kicked again. Now, he had found someone younger than his sister-in-law. Damn it. Shouldn't the younger ones be more innocent? Didn't sister-in-law ask my brother to make decisions for her all the time? Didn't sister-in-law think for my brother all the time? Why was she so playful all the time? They both proposed. At that time, when sister-in-law proposed to my brother, Grandpa cried every time he talked about it. Why were they so affectionate? Why was there such a big difference in treatment between brothers? He was also proposing to a woman. How did it become a forced marriage? He forced her, but she didn't love him. Wasn't she ruining him? The car shot into the parking lot of Kaiyue. He slammed the door and went straight to the reception. Asking which room did the person who checked in with Shi Yunwu's name stay? Who in High City didn't know the handsome and rich mayor like Jiang Zhao? What's more, when the mayor asked, it must be a big deal. But after checking the computer, there was no record of Shi Unwoo checking into a room. It was very difficult. At this time, the sound of high-powered trucks' accelerators rushed in one after another. Even the receptionist couldn't help but look outside. The cars outside stopped one after another, followed by the sound of orderly footsteps. It wasn't messy, but it was loud. Military boots were always so strong and powerful. A security guard ran in. The marble floor was polished like a mirror, and it was a little slippery when he ran too fast. The security guard tried hard to stop and almost fell. He held onto the marble counter and said to Miss in a panic, "Hurry up and find the manager. This is bad. There are 5 military trucks, and there are dozens of soldiers in each truck. Did something happen to our Kaiyue?" Jiang Zhao said coldly to Miss in front of the receptionist, "Get me the CCTV footage. Also get me all the IDs of the people who checked in between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Zhua Hao was wearing a simple military uniform and walked over. He greeted Jiang Zhao, "Brother." Miss in front of the receptionist was still obsessed with another handsome man. But when she saw the lieutenant colonel epaulette on Zhua Hao's shoulder and his cold face, she was so scared that she immediately listened to Jiang Zhao's words. When the military came to visit, it was different from the ordinary police. They had to show you their IDs. If you dared to say something sarcastic and talk about the law, sorry, those people in the trucks would stomp their feet in unison. Those who were fine would think that something had happened. Jiang Zhao went into the front desk and just looked at the CCTV footage. Miss in front of the receptionist kept checking the records and then reported one by one. Until a name was reported, En Qian. Jiang Zhao looked up at Miss in front of the receptionist, "Show me the scanned ID." Miss in front of the receptionist moved the computer screen and pointed it at Jiang Zhao. When she saw the ID photo, she said, and her eyes were sharp and cold. She took the mouse from Miss in front of the receptionist and slid the wheel up and down to see the room number. She said coldly to the receptionist, "Swipe the spare room card for this room and give it to me." Miss in front of the receptionist didn't dare to disobey. She was afraid that something big was going to happen in the hotel. Jiang Zhao held the room card in his hand and strode out of the front desk. When he passed by Zhua Hao, he said, "I'll call you later. You're downstairs." Okay. 1326. Jiang Zhao silently recited this number in his heart and watched the numbers of the elevator change one by one. He felt that every second was like a year. The trajectory of his life was almost completely disrupted by this woman called Yun Yi. It was a mess. But he would rather continue to live like this in chaos. He didn't know what he was insisting on. With a ding, the elevator door opened. He looked at the numbers on the door and pointed to the direction. Then he started walking. His steps were fast and big. The carpet was soft, but the sound of his heavy footsteps could be heard. He held the door handle and put the room card that had been warmed up in the sensor area. With a beep, The red light flashed and turned green. He pressed the door handle hard and pushed it open. The moment he pushed it open, he almost wanted to close the door again. The man and woman on the sofa were kissing passionately. The woman's shoulder strap had slipped halfway, revealing half of her fair and round breasts. The woman's clothes had been pushed up by the man on top of her, revealing her graceful waist. The man's hand was caressing the woman's fair and tender legs. Jiang Zhao was a little embarrassed. Just as he was about to go out, Unwu climbed down from an An's body. He stood up and tidied his clothes. He looked a little embarrassed. "Brother Zhao." Jiang Zhao responded. He had forgotten the lines in the script. "Yi Er is here?" And turned her back and started to tidy her clothes. Unwu nodded. "Sister-in-law fell asleep in the car just now. I don't know where she lives, so I didn't wake her up. She's inside." Jiang Zhao didn't know what to feel now. When he looked at Unwu, he couldn't bring himself to smile. He turned and went into the bedroom. Yi Er was well covered with the blanket. Her clothed shoulders were exposed. She was in good condition. She slept on her side and seemed to be sleeping soundly. Awesome novel. Song Shu 566. Chapter 502. He walked over and touched her face. Kneeling on the bed, he leaned down and kissed her on the cheek. Smiling, he said, "Damn little fox. You scared your husband to death. You slept soundly." As if the person outside the bedroom wasn't there, he took Yi Er's bag from the bedside table and opened it. The phone inside was on, but there were already 3 digits of missed calls. Seeing these numbers, he knew that he was going crazy. He looked at the settings again and saw that it was silent. He threw the phone back into the bag and turned around to lie down. He was really exhausted. At this moment, he didn't want to go anywhere. He just wanted to hold her in his arms. Unwu stood outside the carved screen. Clenching his fists, he wanted to walk over. Then took his hand and patted it. She looked at him, frowned, and shook her head. Jiang Zhao also felt that there was someone outside. He pulled his arm out from under Yi Er's neck and walked outside to say to Unwu, "Unwu, your sister-in-law is sleeping soundly. I won't wake her up. We'll stay here tonight. Why don't you and an In get another room?" Yunwu's heart was in turmoil. He couldn't speak. "They're staying here tonight? What are they staying here for? What will they do?" In held Yunwu's arm. She still looked a little shy. "It's okay, Brother Zhao. Unwu and I will go back to stay. We wanted to wait for sister-in-law to wake up or call you to pick us up. We'll get going first. We'll have to trouble you then." Jiang Zhao smiled. When the two of them left the room, his smile disappeared completely. He called Zhuahao and asked him to come up. Zhuahao entered the room. Jiang Zhao carefully took out Yi Er's phone from her bag. "Go and compare my fingerprints. I'll give you mine and Yi Er's later. See who else has it besides ours." Zhuahao found a slipper cover from the closet at the entrance and put the phone inside. Jiang Zhao didn't believe that Yi Er would mute her phone. She was different from other little girls. She was very vigilant and always worried if someone was looking for her or if there was good news about Yun Hongwei. She wouldn't miss a single message. How could someone who had her phone on 24 hours a day mute her phone before she got home? At this moment, Yi Er heard some movement. She softly said, rubbing her eyes. She saw Jiang Zhao and Zhuahao standing in the room. Jiang Zhao then asked Zhuahao to go back first. Yi Er saw that only Jiang Zhao was in the room. She mumbled, "Hubby, did you bring me to get a room?" Jiang Zhao sat by the bed and took off his shoes. He really didn't want to move today. The woman hugged him from behind. When the woman smiled, she said naughtily, "Wow, hubby, why are you so flirtatious today? You actually brought me to get a room?" Jiang Zhao turned around. The woman's hair was messy and she was looking up at him. Her eyes were darting around. In his mind, Shiyun's shadow jumped out again. He lifted Yi Er's clothes and skirt and checked them up and down. There were no traces at all. He shook his head and felt that he was thinking too much. When he entered the room, he clearly saw Shi Unwu and Anin putting on a show of affection. He had caused such a big commotion just now. He wanted to vent his anger, But when he saw her looking at him like that, he couldn't vent his anger. Moreover, she didn't seem to know anything. Did she actually think that he brought her to get a room? Childish. Didn't she know that a golden nest couldn't compare to her own? But if he had really brought her to get a room, would she be so happy? Did she really think that he was flirtatious? He leaned over and bit her breasts. Let's go take a shower? Ye didn't know what Jiang Zhao was checking. She only thought that he was flirting again. Let's not do anything. Just hug. Hubby hug me. Yi hugged Jiang Zhao's neck and refused to let go. She twisted her body and acted coquettishly. When she saw Jiang Zhao's flirtatious look, she wanted to teach him a lesson. This B** tortured her to death. He made her unable to sleep well every day. If he didn't let her have a good time, she wouldn't let him have a good time either. She wanted an eye for an eye. Hug me after you take a shower. Be good. Jiang Zhao couldn't take it anymore after being twisted by Yi a few times. When he was looking for her, he had lost a lot of juice. He felt that he must be smelly. No. I just want a hug. Yi pouted and kept asking for a hug. When she moved, she purposely rubbed against Jiang Zhao. I'm sweaty. I stink. Let's take a shower together. Jiang Zhao's voice was hoarse. He didn't want to lose points in bed because of the smell of sweat. It's not smelly. Hubby doesn't stink at all. Hubby is manly. That's the smell of a man. Let's hug Yi to sleep. Yi purposely didn't look into Jiang Zhao's eyes. They had a tacit understanding in this aspect. Just by looking at each other's eyes, they knew what he wanted to do. Just by listening to his voice, she knew that he couldn't take it anymore. She wanted him to be unable to take it. Didn't they say that men were creatures with lower bodies? He tortured her psychologically, so she used her soft body to torture him. They were even. Yi calculated wrong. She just wanted a hug, but it didn't mean that the man agreed. As they hugged, he took off his clothes. As they hugged, they started doing it naturally. She couldn't resist it. Yi came to a conclusion for herself. So women were creatures with lower bodies too. Otherwise, why would her stance be so weak? The hotel's bedsheets and blankets were all white and very eye-catching. Their first time was outside. They had never booked a room outside. It was obviously much more exciting. Now that they were in a new environment, they wanted to challenge different levels. Yi couldn't take it anymore. She started to regret that she couldn't resist the man's temptation. She started to regret that she had become a creature with lower bodies. She started to reflect on herself. Tomorrow, she was determined to be a pure and kind girl. She would abandon all her evil desires. She couldn't be a female hooligan in her thoughts. Yi was so angry that she couldn't catch her breath. Hey, it's okay. I just want a hug. You're going overboard. The man hugged the woman tightly and patted her butt. He smiled and said, sex starts from hugging. It's not like you don't know. Isn't it better to hug and do it? Won't it give you a sense of security? Bullshit. You're about to die. How can you feel safe? Have you ever seen someone who's about to see the king of hell feel safe? She was about to die because of him. You're about to see the king of hell? You're about to listen me to the king of hell. Be good. That's to make your trip pleasant. Visit more. Later, I'll send you to the heavens to see the Queen Mother. Hubby, if I see the Queen Mother, I won't do it anymore. Otherwise, I'll be crippled. You won't be crippled. Sleep for a night and you'll still be a good man tomorrow. Yi was unconvinced. Her face flushed red. You're the good man. I'm not. I'm a beauty. I'm a beauty. Jiang Zhao saw that Yi was really unable to take it, so he slowed down. He held Yi's head and kissed her on the lips. Thank you for the compliment, wifey. But my beautiful wifey is a man on the inside. Yi was furious. Who would do it on the bed? Did he love her and say that his wife was a man? This was too hurtful to her pride. She wanted to resist passively and not cooperate with him anymore. She wanted to let him do whatever he wanted. But her body's reaction was too weak. Even when it was over, Yi still ignored Jiang Zhao. She was still angry. She was so angry that she was about to suffer internal injuries. People said that a woman would doll herself up for her lover. Her husband treated her as a man. This was too insulting. Jiang Zhao came out of the shower and pushed Yi Er. What's wrong? I don't want to talk to you. Let's go. Jiang Zhao tore off the bath towel, lifted the blanket and went to sleep. He hugged his woman. Who was the one who was desperately calling for her husband just now? Now that you're full, you're chasing me away? You're also flipping your face faster than flipping a book, right? Yi Er was angry and pushed Jiang Zhao away. Jiang Zhao, where's your face? Jiang Zhao took Yi Er's hand and placed it on his face. He rubbed it in a big circle. Oh, wifey, it's here. Don't you have eyes to see? Can you touch it? Yi Er pulled back her hand abruptly and looked at Jiang Zhao with disdain. I can feel it. I can feel the city wall made of reinforced concrete. Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er's expression and laughed. Look at you, woman. Hey, Yun Yi, tell your husband. What exactly are you? Why do you have so many opinions about your husband? Didn't you say that I'm a little fox? You've already mutated. You're a little fox now. Of course, her heart was very hard. Jiang Zhao, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. As she spoke, she sat on top of Jiang Zhao and hit and punched him. This bastard was saying that she didn't look like a woman. It was too infuriating, too infuriating. The man laughed. Come on. Hey, don't run. Come on. Hey, you don't run. Didn't I ask you to come? Yi Er wrapped herself tightly in the blanket. She would be an idiot if she didn't run. The morning after indulging in debauchery was evil. The evil cell phone alarm, the evil morning sun, the evil work, and everything that disturbed his dreams. When he was about to get out of bed, he flipped over and pressed down on Yi Er. He gave her a morning kiss and said, Yun Yi, I'll get someone to tidy up the house today. I'm going to pick up Dad in the afternoon. Call me when you've had enough sleep, okay? Yi Er was shocked. She tried to sit up but was knocked back onto the bed. She saw stars and was in so much pain that her eyeballs were about to fall out. Jiang Zhao's nose started bleeding from the impact. Yi Er didn't have time to care about her own pain. She only knew that bright red blood was dripping onto her face. She was scared out of her wits. Yi Er sat up and reached out to cover Jiang Zhao's nose. Her hands were shaking. Zhao, what should we do? What should we do? He's bleeding a lot. Jiang Zhao sat up straight and raised his head. Before he could say that he was fine, Yi Er jumped off the bed and took out a box of tissues. She took out handfuls of tissues and used them to wipe away the blood on Jiang Zhao's face. Her eyes seemed to be in a daze. What should we do? What should we do? I'll call an ambulance. Wait here, I'll call an ambulance. Yi Er reached for her bag again. Her hands were covered in blood. When she touched the milky white bag, it was a ghastly sight. She couldn't find her phone, so she poured out everything inside. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er, who kept fumbling around incoherently. He watched as her tears fell as she searched for her phone. He felt terrible. Was it because they had known each other for a long time that they developed feelings for each other? He pulled her over and hugged her in his arms. In order to not let his nose bleed, he raised his chin a little and said gently, Honey, I'm fine. It's just a little nosebleed. What did you think it was? I'll be fine after lying down. Look, it's not bleeding anymore. Beauty novel, Shinwoo 799. Chapter 503. Yi Er saw that Jiang Zhao's face was covered in blood from her touch. She didn't know that her face was also covered in blood when she wiped her tears, so she made fun of Jiang Zhao's ugly appearance. So ugly, so pathetic, so disgusting. Look at you, you bad guy. All bad guys don't have a good ending like you. You made such a big fuss over a nosebleed. Jiang Zhao didn't care. He hugged Yi Er and rubbed the blood on his face on her neck. He smiled mischievously and said, Hey, weren't you worried sick just now? Have you fallen in love with me? Yun Yi, don't tell me you've fallen in love with me? Yi Er was stunned. What did he mean? Was he laughing at her? Was he laughing at her for being so worried about him? Was he laughing at her for falling in love with him first? Was he laughing at her for being such a fool? Yi Er snorted and said, "What are you thinking about? Would I fall in love with you? I would never fall in love with a bad man like you. I'm just afraid that if you die, the police will arrest me as a suspect. I don't want to go to jail. I still have a brother to take care of. Seriously, you're so full of yourself." Jiang Zhao's expression turned cold, but it instantly swept away his gloomy and unhappy expression. He exhaled and turned around to press Yi Er under his body. He didn't care about how inappropriate his image was at this moment. He smiled playfully and said, "Let's play a game. How about that game?" Jiang Zhao looked into Yi Er's eyes and said, "You said it yourself. We don't have feelings for each other and we don't love each other. Why don't we make a bet? Whoever falls in love with the other first loses. How about that?" Yi Er clenched her fists in her heart. "You see? Good job. Luckily, you didn't embarrass yourself by admitting that you've fallen in love with him. Although you've already lost at the starting line, you're still far away. You still have a chance to win, right?" She raised her neck and confidently opened her eyes. She smiled brightly and said, "Okay." Jiang Zhao gritted his teeth and stared at Yi Er for a few seconds. Jiang Zhao looked at Yi Er and said confidently, "Okay." It was as though he had signed a contract with God and would never go back on his word. He told himself to endure it. He couldn't bear to hit her, so he would just bear with it. Just wait and see. One day, this little hussy would fail miserably. She was amazing and self-righteous now. She didn't believe that she still didn't have feelings for him after living together for so long. Those who got married in the past didn't have feelings for each other either. Later on, they were still inseparable. Jiang Zhao went to wash up. They couldn't wear the blood-stained clothes anymore. They waited for Lu Cheng to deliver the clothes for them to change into before going to work. After Yi Er woke up, she changed into a new set of clothes and looked in the mirror. It was a long-sleeved t-shirt and jeans. It looked good, but what about her neck? She put down her ponytail and tidied it to cover the two hickeys. Jiang Zhao said that her phone had run out of battery because of Zhuahao yesterday, so she borrowed it for a while. In the afternoon, she asked someone to return it to her. Yi Er didn't pursue the matter. When she opened the door, she saw that the boy's hand was being held by his girlfriend. Yi Er didn't know if it was an illusion, but the two of them looked like they were a perfect couple. They looked like they were together, but they were apart at heart. The boy smiled at her. It was faint just like before. She thought that he was an indifferent person. He was usually clean and never worried about anything. He didn't show any emotion even when he was mocking her. She used to wonder what kind of family could raise such a boy. She never thought that someone like grandfather she would raise such a grandson. When those old men talked, it was like they were talking about gunpowder and nuclear bombs. "Unwu, why are you guys here?" Yi Er only knew that a large part of her memory was blank. What a coincidence. Yesterday, you fell asleep very deeply. We were the ones who sent you here. Later, Brother Zhao came over. We originally wanted to go back, but we were too tired, so we booked another room. And you smiled faintly. His hand that Anin was holding tightly tightened, and didn't even frown. She let Unwu squeeze her hand. Last night, when they left this room, Unwu lost his temper. To avoid making too much noise on the same floor, and specially booked another room. Unwu almost flipped the room upside down, and didn't know how to persuade others. She just let Unwu lose his temper. And only thought that if it weren't for the cars of soldiers that came last night, Yunyi would have been young master's woman. Luckily, he stuck some of the concentrated peppermint liquid into Yunye's nose. Otherwise, if Jiang Zhao couldn't wake Yunyi up, who knew how big of a fuss this would have been? So that's how it is? Yi Er felt that she was too stupid. She actually thought that Jiang Zhao brought her out to play. That man didn't know anything about flirting. He only knew how to be coquettish. How could he know anything about flirting? That's right. Unwu said again, "Yi Er, are you hungry? Let's go have breakfast together." Unwu asked Yi Er to sit down while he went to get the food for her. The breakfast in the 5-star hotel was buffet. And then casually took some sandwiches and milk and sat down to eat quietly. She still looked a little shy and didn't talk much. Yi Er didn't seem to be able to find common topics within Tin, so she pretended to be curious and looked around. Seeing Unwoo holding a tray and waiting in line in front of the Chinese dishes, he wasn't anxious at all. He didn't have the airs of a rich young master. When someone accidentally bumped into him, he just smiled and told them, "It's okay." It attracted a lot of infatuated girls. When Jiang Zhao brought the tray to Yi Er's side, Yi Er realized how attentive this boy was. Single-sided egg, 2 drops of soy sauce on the raw egg yolk, straw. Orange juice, whole wheat bread. Yi Er's breakfast was like this most of the time. He placed Yi Er's portion in front of her. "That's right? I remember you telling me that it's simple and nutritious." Yi Er took the straw and stirred the egg yolk, mixing the soy sauce and raw egg yolk together. She wrinkled her nose and said, "What's wrong with your brain? You can't remember my name, but you remember these things." "I didn't say that I didn't remember. You're blocking my way with your words. You're saying that I remember? Even if I don't remember anyone, it's impossible for me to not remember you. After all, customers like you who don't know how to appreciate food are rare." "Ha!" Yi Er sucked the egg yolk clean and then used her chopsticks to split the egg white into 2 pieces. She stacked them and put them into her mouth piece by piece. She closed her mouth and chewed contentedly. Unwoo looked at the way she ate and said, "I remember you saying that you don't change much at breakfast. I thought you were just lazy, but it turns out that you can eat so contentedly." Yi Er took a sip of the orange juice and gently wiped the corners of her mouth with a napkin. She nodded and said, "Yes, I'm like this with everything. Once I've chosen the right food, it's hard to dislike it. Unless it's like a chicken who has bird flu, a pig who has disease number 5, or a cow who has mad cow disease, I usually won't change the food I'm used to. Especially for things like breakfast, it's very difficult to choose something simple and nutritious." Yunwoo's face stiffened. She was like this with everything? She was like this with food and she was like this with people? She had chosen Jiang Zhao, but was being forced to choose him also a choice? Unwoo was not in the mood to eat. His gaze was fixed on Yi Er's every move. He cut up the bacon and sandwiches on the plate messily and asked, "Yi Er, are you happy after you got married?" Yi Er almost choked. She found it a little funny. After she got married, no one had asked her if she was happy. Zhengling didn't ask, Xia Qian didn't ask, and the insensitive Qiu Shaoyan never asked either. But Unwoo actually asked her if she was happy. She nodded. Her eyes shone brightly. "Jiang Zhao is a good man. I'm very happy." Unwoo lowered his head and held his knife and fork tightly. He simply cut up the food on the plate and completely lost his appetizing look. "Aren't you hungry?" Yi Er was puzzled. Unwoo said unhappily, "I'm full." After breakfast, Yi Er suggested going to Yunwoo's place to get the painting back. Unwoo agreed. When they arrived at the Shi family's villa, Yi Er sat downstairs and waited for Unwoo. She only stood up when she saw Unwoo come down with a rectangular board in a cloth bag. It was probably a framed painting. When Unwoo passed it to her, he said disdainfully, "It really takes up a lot of space. I've been wanting you to take it back for a long time." "I'm sorry, the money," Unwoo snorted. "How dare you talk about money?" Yi Er shut her mouth. He was a rich young master. He didn't lack money. Sigh, was she being too calculative? She wanted to take a look at the painting, so she took it from Yunwoo's hands. When she bent down to open the cloth bag, her hair flew over her face. She reached out to brush it back in disgust. The 2 purple hickeys on her neck were exposed. Unwoo looked at Yi Er's neck. Images of clothes fluttering in the air and naked bodies of men and women entangled with each other flashed before his eyes. Those images were really torturous. She said Jiang Zhao was a good man. She said she was happy. How could she be so happy? She was happy alone. Yunwoo's clear eyes suddenly darkened. His hand reached out to Yi Er's neck, but an instant stopped him in midair. "Unwoo, you're afraid that sister-in-law can't handle the animation. Let Agure help. You didn't rest well last night, so don't do it." Unwoo turned around, his back facing Yi Er. He looked at An's expression, which was changing unpredictably. Yi Er glanced at the painting in the cloth bag. When she heard Anan's words, she looked up at the two of them and smiled. It's so light. I don't need anyone to help me. I'll go back first. Unwoo knew that he couldn't make Yi-er stay. He had to arrange for a car to send Yi-er back. Yi-er didn't want to. It wasn't because she felt inferior living in that kind of place. If she hadn't been with Jiang Zhao, it would have been fine. But now that she was with him, if she was still living in such an old neighborhood, wouldn't her relatives and friends say that Jiang Zhao was like that? Men were always prideful. This was what her mother-in-law had said. Her place was too shabby. If others were to talk about it, Jiang Zhao would be the one to lose face. Yi-er took the painting back to her place. Jiang Zhao had said in the morning that he would send someone to tidy up the new house and pick up her father in the afternoon. She actually couldn't get excited. Logically speaking, at a time like this, she should be so excited that she would cry. But she didn't. She couldn't figure out why she couldn't cry. She still couldn't believe that Jiang Zhao could get her father out so quickly. But she accepted it with a clear conscience. It was as if he was supposed to do it for her. On a day like this where she shouldn't have known what to do, Yi-er was actually in the mood to tidy up the house, clean up, and pack some clothes. They were moving to a new house. Jiang Zhao was the one who took care of the things over there. She didn't care. She only needed to bring some clothes and daily necessities over. That's right. They were moving to a new house. It was a happy day. When Dad was released, he would have a new house to live in. It was great that the family would be together. There was nothing to cry about. What if Dad asked where Mom had gone? What would she say? That she had run away? Welfare, Shinwoo 799. Chapter 504. No, Daddy wouldn't ask. Daddy had only asked once, and she had answered perfunctorily. Daddy was smarter than anyone else. He could feel it. Jiang Zhao called a moving company and arranged for someone to help Yi-er move. He was too busy and could not find the time, not to mention that he had to bring Yi-er with him after work. Although Jiang Zhao had indeed hired some people to clean up the house, Yi-er felt that there were some things that he had to put away himself. Otherwise, he would not be able to find them wherever he put them. Fortunately, there were not many messy things, and it was a well-renovated room. With the help of a few part-time workers, they finished packing up in an hour. When Yi-er arrived at the changing room, he realized that Jiang Zhao's clothes had already filled up his wardrobe. He moved quickly. With so many here, there shouldn't be much left at Ouyang Yan's place, right? Men rarely had as many clothes as him. He actually liked to dress up, right? Although the style of a man's clothes was like that, he had a complete range of colors. Although there were no overly bright colors, as long as he wore them a little brighter, they would be very attractive. The bed was already made and the bedroom door was closed. When Yi-er was looking at the painting, he encountered a problem. What should he do with this nude painting? He couldn't hang it up like a wedding photo, but if he put it away, where would he put it without being discovered by others? He placed the painting on the bed and looked at it carefully. After being framed, it looked high-end. He hoped that this figure would never go out of shape. Yi-er was a little tired. Who asked that man to be so aroused last night and insisted on going all out? She was exhausted. He laid on the bed and wanted to sleep. He turned his head and thought that it was still early. He decided to sleep for half an hour. Jiang Zhao had asked Lu Cheng before, and Yi-er had already moved to the 9th mansion. He had to pick up his father-in-law at 5 o'clock, so he had to go back and pick up Yi-er. When he opened the door and lowered his head to change his shoes, he called out happily twice. No one answered him, so he went to look for her room one by one. He guessed that she was packing her things. The room was very clean. He could live in it today. It was pretty good. With a more comfortable house to live in, she would definitely be happier. When he reached their bedroom upstairs, he realized that she was already asleep. She was probably exhausted. He wanted to go over and cover her with something. As soon as he laid down, he saw the nude painting on the bed. It was 23 meters long and 70 to 80 centimeters wide. This size would definitely be very beautiful. Looking at the woman in the painting, her naked body was only covered by a thin layer of gauze. Her elbows were bent, covering her breasts but revealing a little curve. Her graceful figure was bent in an extremely seductive arc. The expression on her face was clear. It was the innocence of a young girl. Her legs were playfully hooked as she shook her feet. Her eyelashes seemed to be dyed with rainbow-colored sunlight. Her whole person seemed to be alive. What a detailed painting! In his impression, such an oil painting shouldn't be so thin. It looked like an art portrait. He looked at it for a while before frowning. He reached out and patted Yi Er's butt. "Get up." "What?" Yi Er turned over, still wanting to sleep. "Get up." Jiang Zhao's voice was a little louder. "Tell me, what are you doing? When did you draw it?" Yi Er sat up and looked at Jiang Zhao, who was looking at the painting. He scratched his head and yawned. "In the summer." "In the summer?" Jiang Zhao felt gloomy. In short, he didn't feel too good. In the summer, it was before the wedding. It might have been before they met the beautiful woman again. His heart ached, but he still asked, "Why did you draw this kind of painting?" Yi Er said, "What's wrong with this kind of painting? Isn't art good? I want to keep it for myself when I'm young. When I'm older and my figure isn't as good, it won't look good anymore." "What's in your head?" Jiang Zhao looked at the painting. It was beautiful, but it made him angry. "Who drew this for you? Was it a man or a woman?" It was fine if it was a woman, but if it was a man, how could she be so naked? The more he thought about it, the more he frowned. But there were many women who knew how to draw now, and many of them were good at it. It wasn't like in the past, when it was mostly men who were good at art. Jiang Zhao comforted himself in this way. Yi Er said casually, "Unwu." Feeling that the atmosphere was a little too quiet, Yi Er looked up at Jiang Zhao seriously. She realized that his eyes were no longer normal. There were many emotions rolling around in his eyes. Yi Er didn't have the ability to read minds, so she suddenly realized that she couldn't understand. But she knew that Jiang Zhao was angry. Jiang Zhao had been sitting on the bed. He stretched his long legs and got off the bed. He held the framed nude painting of Yi Er in his hands, lifted it up, and shook it a few times in front of Yi Er. Yi Er was afraid that the edges of the drawing board would hurt herself, so she retreated in fear. "Yeah, that's him." Everything around them was so quiet that it was scary. Yi Er could only hear her own heartbeat and Jiang Zhao's heavy breathing. After a while, she heard him snort coldly. "You've already known each other to this extent? Yet they were pretending not to know each other? Did they think that he, Jiang Zhao, was an idiot? We've known each other for more than a year. He's drawn for me a few times, but I've always paid him for it." This drawing was done 2 months ago, but when I went to the Shi family to get it today, he wouldn't take the money. Yi Er had been searching for something else to say. She knew that Jiang Zhao was shaking with anger. She didn't think that there was anything wrong with the drawing, but why was Jiang Zhao so angry? Was it just because he knew Unwu? Was it embarrassing that his wife was drawn by his friend? But when she was drawing, she didn't know about this layer of relationship. If she had known, she definitely wouldn't have gone to Unwu. Jiang Zhao closed his eyes and raised his head to let out a long breath. When he looked at Yi Er again, he raised the drawing in his hand and slammed it against the wall. Yi Er cried out in pain, "My drawing!" Suddenly, she jumped off the bed to pick up her drawing. Before she could touch the drawing, she was pulled back onto the bed by Jiang Zhao. Yi Er wanted to get up again, but Jiang Zhao had already pounced on her. He pinned her down, grabbed her hands, and clamped her legs with his legs, not allowing her to move an inch. Yi Er cried out in pain, "Be gentle, it hurts." "He drew it for you and you're so upset? 2 months ago?" Jiang Zhao ignored the woman's cries of pain. His free hand pinched her chin and forced her to look at him. "Do you think I'm a monkey? You were already with me 2 months ago. Wasn't that right? You were already in my bed. You were with me, but you stripped naked in front of another man and let him draw you. He saw you naked, and when he saw you again, he pretended not to remember your name. What's the relationship between the two of you? Tell me clearly." Jiang Zhao felt that the past 2 days had been too much of a shock. Yesterday, he finally felt that the danger had been averted, and today he was being put on a show again. Her nude drawing had been with Shi Unwu for 2 months, and Shi Eunwoo still had to pretend not to remember her name. If it weren't for Zhuang Yichen's investigation, he would have really thought that Shi Eunwoo was such a heartless person. How much did a woman trust a man that she would strip naked in front of him? Jiang Zhao, you're crazy. I have nothing to do with him. He's been drawing on Wutong Street for more than a year, and I'm his customer. I've bought his paintings, and he's sketched, painted, and even this oil painting for me. We talk occasionally, and that's our relationship. Yi Er's entire body was in pain from Jiang Zhao's pinch, but she still tried her best to explain. She never thought that Jiang Zhao's attitude would change like this after seeing this painting. His eyes were bleeding. If she had to blame someone, she could only blame herself for being unlucky. Eunwoo and Jiang Zhao's relationship was actually so close. Jiang Zhao, calm down. Eunwoo and I aren't what you think. He only drew for me. There's nothing between us. Don't misunderstand. Yi Er couldn't cry at this time. She was only afraid. She was afraid of Jiang Zhao like this. She was so afraid that she trembled. Jiang Zhao felt like he was going crazy from jealousy and jealousy. Shi Eunwoo was an artist on Wutong Street? He really had the time. They were obviously very close, but he was pretending not to be close. What was he supposed to think? Jiang Zhao suppressed his voice with the last bit of his endurance. Why did you let him draw you? Yi Er didn't have the space to think of a countermeasure. She could only say what was on her mind. I think he looked very clean and didn't have any bad intentions. I've never seen anyone like him. His eyes didn't seem to have any impurities. I've known him for more than a year. Although I didn't know his name and mistook him for a poor artist, I trusted him a lot and felt very safe. So, you went to Hyatt and got a room. In that room, you slowly took off your clothes and slowly set up the easel. You let him tell you how you should pose to be considered beautiful. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Jiang Zhao was almost shouting towards the end. He couldn't calm down. He couldn't use a calm tone to talk to her. There was no way he could communicate with her. The background of the painting was the decoration of the Hyatt they stayed in yesterday. Every hotel had its own style. The bench she was lying on was the decoration style of the Hyatt. It was such a fine painting, but he had been paying attention to the person in the painting. Now that he thought about it, what if he hadn't found her last night? Hyatt was their old haunt. It was no wonder Shi Eunwoo wanted to go there. When she was with him, she went to get a room with another man and drew nude pictures. She trusted a man to such an extent. How could he maintain his balance and calm? Yi Er stared blankly at Jiang Zhao, who had lost control of his emotions. She didn't know what to say. What was the situation like at that time? Eunwoo had indeed told her what to do. Seeing that Yi Er was silent, Jiang Zhao let go of her chin. He clenched his fist and punched the springy bed. I want to F***king kill you. I want to kill you right now, do you know that? Jiang Zhao lowered his head and viciously bit Yi Er's shoulder. His wife had told him how much she trusted another man in front of him. But that man was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yi Er was in so much pain that she almost couldn't breathe. Strands of pain pierced her brain and broke. It was useless for her to struggle or resist. She knew that the man on top of her could really kill her. She felt her shoulder become wet. There was a sticky liquid flowing down from her shoulder to her back. Her nose was filled with the smell of blood. Jiang Zhao's mouth was filled with the sweet taste of rust. He still couldn't vent his anger. He wanted to bite her to death. Then it would be good if she died. That way, she wouldn't talk about how good another man was in front of him. Come and see. Shinwoo 799. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.